If you've ever started your day with hilarious memes from your producer, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, where we close the week out strong here Friday, March 21st. Hopefully you all enjoyed day one of March Madness. We're going to have day two of March Madness in the basketball tournament. Will it be madness in the market? That's the question. We're going to go ahead and break that down. We've got Mark Petrino this morning. We've got some news to cover. Let's go ahead and get it. Good morning and happy Friday, folks. Welcome back. We're getting ready for another market day here today. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here bright and early on Friday morning. Paul, good morning. Welcome back. It's good to see you, my man. Hellcat, welcome back. Hellcat asking, it's quad witching. No, yes, I actually believe it's a triple witching technically, but your overall point is in fact the same. We are going to have options expirations here later today, and that might cause some volatility. Good stuff. Yes, that is happening here today. Jim, good morning. Happy Friday. Indeed, Jim. Charles, good morning. Drop market drop. Charles, sounds like you're short. It sounds like you're short, which is actually pretty good. We're going to take a look at the SPY here real quick and see the situation that we're in. If you did short ahead of that 200-day moving average getting tested, well, good on you, because so far you've been rewarded. We'll see how this shakes out. Sabin, good morning. Welcome back. Sun-kissed Yogi, good morning. Welcome back. Yassine, good morning. Day trader, locked in, good morning. Brandy, welcome back. Good to see you. Happy Friday. Jane, likewise, good morning. Welcome back. Terlingua, good morning. I don't often ever play with ETFs. However, thank you, Ryan, for your insight into the bottom of SQQQ yesterday. Your input provided a very lucrative trading day. That I actually revised my opening statement. It's better to start the day with comments just like this, even more so than jokes. This is awesome. And just to be very clear about this, the whole SQQQ, TQQQ, this entire strategy kind of morphed from like discussions on, well, we have a kind of a crazy market. What can we do? Discussed this with multiple people, came up with a plan, executed that plan, and then passed it on to others. And now others are benefiting. That is the whole goal of Benzinga as a whole, really trying to make investing and trading better. Terlingua, this is great stuff. I'm happy to hear that. Congratulations on your lucrative day. That is awesome. Morning. Jonathan, welcome back. Clarence Jackson. Clarence, yes. Happy hour member mentioning here, Mayhem is an epic trader. Oh, indeed he is. How lucky are we? I've been like pounding my head against the wall on how great the Benzinga ecosystem is. It is absolutely amazing to see you folks see that and feel it. Really good things ahead. The future is so bright, we're all going to need sunglasses. Ralph, good morning. Welcome back. Artisan Custom Homes, welcome back. Dermalog, welcome back. Nabil, welcome back. Shadowed One, happy Friday, boss. Welcome back. Asrar, welcome back. Nabil, I think I said hello to you twice. Good morning twice. Have a really great morning. Arun Amarus, sorry, can't pronounce your name. Good morning. Have a great day, amigo. Right back at you, Slick. We're all going to have a great day here today. That is for sure. Lou, good morning from NYC. Good morning. How is NYC? Zoo, good morning. Welcome back. Good to see you again. Seahorse Trading, welcome back. Larry and Dal, good morning. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the SPY here. See exactly where we're at. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Good morning, Hermata. Brandy says, SQQQ is the way I play things right now with premiums on SPY are so high. Let's talk about that too, because, oh man, you guys, it's like you guys have a mind meld going on right now. This is super exciting. Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, Gary. Okay, so Brandy, I'm actually going to throw your comment here up on the screen as a reminder, because I want to explain why this comment is so great. First of all, let's take a look here at the SPY. Obviously, we came down to that 552-ish area. We bounced, but we could not quite test the 200-day. And this is giving me, and I would imagine others, especially those that are not proficient or shorting is not your main way of making money, it's making me a little bit hesitant. And I would be unsurprised to hear that it's making some other traders hesitant as well. I'd really want to see this value get touched. Once it does, and then we actually stay beneath it, oh man, the confidence for that short goes up exponentially. But we haven't done that yet, and still the price for SPY is rolling over. So let me get to Brandy's comment here, because Brandy says SQQQ is the way I play things right now with premiums on SPY so high. She's absolutely right. The premiums on the SPY options are absolutely jacked. They feel way higher than they have in the past. And if you're not confident on opening up a short, I am not going to short the SPY equity. I'm going to play it via the puts market. And if those premiums are jacked, that actually adds to the lack of confidence or the lack of conviction on that trade. So what do we look for in lieu of that? Something where we do have conviction and confidence. Where did we find that? You got it, Brandy, and everyone else, the SQQQ and the TQQQ. Because we're trading equity, we don't even have to worry about inflated premiums. Some of you actually did trade options on those SQQQ. Shout out to you. I think the one of them there was the contracts were like $1, right? $1.50. They went up to $1.90 in a matter of minutes. Pretty good gain. So with the SQQQ and the TQQQ, I feel, personally at least, that I have more of an edge, more of an angle for trading on that, and I get to avoid all of those massively high SPY premiums, but still gain exposure to different market movements, especially one that we are following. So awesome. That is awesome. This is a great way to start off a day. I'm extremely excited about all of this, and this just shows that you folks are absolutely killing it out there and getting better and better at it. Absolutely love it. Anyway, getting back to the SPY here, Brandy, that's really good stuff. Stay at it. Stay at it. Okay. Why the name of this live? I don't know what that means, Daniel. We are live, though. Maybe that's what it means. I don't know. ATL Russ, good morning, man. Welcome back. Reaching Financial Freedom, good morning. And Rafat, good morning. Okay, so SPY here, we're still rolling over. The futures here this morning are actually pointing to a lower open here. S&P futures under pressure here, down 0.23%. Dow futures down 0.26%. And the NASDAQ futures here down 0.32%. So we are definitely pointing to a lower open. However, we are up off the lows. So it will be curious to see if we're actually able to gain some footing. Now, let's go into a very quick market overview. Thank you, producer, for posting that. I won't spend too much time in here. I know we're going to have Mark Petrino pretty soon, and there are some other individual names that I want to cover. But there were a couple of quotes out of this that I wanted to get to. We're going to start with our friend Louis Navalier of Navalier and Associates reiterated that he expects 4 rate cuts in 2025. Now, he's smarter than me. He's been doing this longer than me, but that seems a bit shocking here. Quote, I am anticipating global interest rates to crash due to the fact that economic growth in Asia is weak, while Britain, Canada, France, Germany, and Mexico are all in the midst of economic contractions. As a result, I'm expecting the Bank of England, the European Central Bank, and other central banks to continue to slash key interest rates, which in turn will cause Treasury yields to decline. And since the Fed does not fight market rates, 4 key interest rate cuts are still on the table. So the mechanics of what he's describing here, spot on. The only difference that I have here, I just don't think there's going to be 4. I think 2 makes more sense. Now, the big caveat here is if there's some macro event that really starts pounding our market and our economy, I could see them maybe wanting to cut more. But right now, I kind of find myself at 2. Louis here finding himself at 4 and giving you a real good reason for that. So this will be very interesting to see how it shakes out. And then, of course, I want to cover Ryan Dietrich's stat here. Ryan Dietrich of Carson Research highlighted that all bear markets start with a correction, but not all corrections turn into a bear market. Ominous, huh? Here are the stats. 13 of the previous 39 corrections turned into bear markets. So it looks like about a third of those. That's obviously the minority. All bears start with a correction, but not all corrections turn into a bear market. So While things are going down, and we definitely look like we're correcting here. Again, S&P futures look like they might be rolling over here already today. It's important to know that just because we correct, that does not necessarily mean that we're going to go into a bear market. We'll see how this shakes out. We'll keep looking at some of those stats. Okay, next here, we want to cover Nike. Nike reported earnings. And actually, let me go start here with the chart. Go ahead and share this. Take a look at the chart here. Here's where we've been on Nike. Now, a couple of things to note here real quick on Nike. Thank you, producer. There's your Nike stats for the last earnings report. You can see here that Nike's had a really, really strong support between this 70 and 71 area. And in fact, this goes back to July of last year where we plunged here on earnings. We've actually made a couple of moves off of this support level in that time frame, some of which have actually provided some pretty good trades for our group here as well. Now, here we go. Nike reporting earnings and breaking this support and really kind of moving lower here. So if we zoom out a little bit more, the first thing I want to start with are next potential levels. And I got to think that this 60, which represents the COVID low, and then also the low prior to that here in December of 2018. This 60 to 63 area looks to be the next real big support here for Nike. And honestly, I think that's probably where we're going. Now, long term, we'll see how this thing shakes out. I'm going to go through some comments here. But right now in the near term, to me, it seems like this is going lower. Gatekeeper, you're going to get bonus points for the funny here this morning. Nike, just dump it. That's really good, man. I appreciate that. So, okay, cool. Now, let's go back to the actual breakdown here of the Nike earnings. There were a couple of things in here that I wanted to cover. Number one, Nike reported its worst footwear revenue in over a decade. As the company transitions under its new CEO, the athletic footwear and apparel company beat its third quarter earnings and revenue expectations while issuing disappointing outlook for the fourth quarter. Nike posted a total footwear revenue of $7.2 billion in the third quarter as compared to $8.12 in the same quarter of the previous fiscal year. This represents a 12% year-on-year decline for its footwear revenue, which is worse in over a decade, according to FinChat here. Nike's footwear declined 12% year over year. You can see here, this is the worst growth rate in more than a decade for Nike. So things not going great right now. Now, we do have a new CEO. We do have a transition, just like we talked about in Intel. Sometimes these big ships or big companies take a while to turn, and that should be factored in to a trading plan here. A couple more things that I want to get to you on here on Nike. CFO Matthew Friend spoke about clearing excess inventory picking up from the previous quarter during the company's earnings call. He said, quote, inventories declined 2% versus the prior year. But as I said last quarter, inventory remains elevated across all geographies. He emphasized that the company has been providing its wholesale partners with higher discounts to liquidate aged inventory. What does this mean for the end consumer? You can expect cheaper prices on Nike for the foreseeable future. Inventories remain elevated across all geographies. There's definitely going to be sales on Nike shoes. So if you were looking for a Nike shoe here recently, guess what? You might be in luck. You might be paying less for that than you thought. Elliott Hill, the president and CEO, participated in the second earnings call after rejoining Nike in October of 2024. He said that right-sizing the inventory will help the company get back to running a complete and balanced portfolio. Friend added, we are going to continue to be liquidating inventory, and we expect this to take us several quarters to work through. But the reason why we're confident is because we know we'll be liquidating through channels where we're used to liquidating that inventory. Okay, you're basically being told here that this is a turnaround, and it's not quite ready to turn around. We started by looking at the chart there. I gave you some areas where if this thing comes down a little bit, it should find some support. We'll see how this actually times out with how this actually lines up with the time frame that they're talking about here about reducing inventory. There was a Morgan Stanley analyst. I don't think it's in here. I actually caught the quote on my own here, wanted to add it to this. There was a Morgan Stanley analyst that says, quote, management's initiatives are on the right track, but the road from here is long and volatile. So my best guess here is that Nike really probably won't be through the storm for the next 9 to 12 months. just based on what they're telling us. Now, we'll see if they're accurate or not, but they're telling us several quarters. They're telling us it's not just one little pocket of inventory that they have a lot of. It's all over the place. CEO said, the new CEO here understands what it takes to turn around a company. And so I'm thinking 9 to 12 months here. If you are a Nike bull, or if you want this for the long term, this is the time that you want to pay attention, because this stock should trade down and bottom at some point during this cycle. I can't tell you exactly what day that's going to be. In fact, I don't think anybody can. But if this is something that you're looking, I know we've talked about Nike here a lot. There's a lot of folks here that think, yep, there might be some pressure right now. Long term, this is a great company. You've probably had Nike for decades. So totally get it. But that's kind of what's going on here, folks. And the other thing about this earnings report, this was nasty in the after hours. Traded up, reversed, went lower, and then took another leg lower here. So we actually tested, both ends of this. Again, 66.60 here. I've got 60 to 63 as a potential support. We'll see where we end up catching our bounce here. Ticker NKE. Just dump it. Let me know if you folks like Nike. Is this something that's intriguing to you? What price would make you interested in Nike for a potential swing long, or maybe even an investment? We're not talking about day trading here with this one. We're talking more about a longer term swing here. Paul, I deliver in low income areas. Nike has definitely slowed down. Okay. Awesome. New Nikes are finally cheaper than the used ones. Yay. There you go. Awesome. And how much of that is from the COVID bottleneck effect? So that's a really good point. And this has actually been going on for some time. So very, very clear that that COVID has actually affected this. But here you go. We're breaking this support. Where do we bottom next? We'll have to see on that one. Okay, next thing that I want to take a look at here, NVIDIA. Jim saying long-term option. All right, so you're looking to play this via leaps, it sounds like. Let me know what type of price you'd like to see before you start adding this back here. Sebastian, good morning. Feels like a Faloona Friday. They're all these Fridays, they're fun Fridays. But if you want to throw my name in there, I suppose you can do that as well. Okay, let's take a look here at NVIDIA. We've still got our parallel channel that has really been respected since the end of last year, frankly. And we continue to move down here. Now, NVIDIA. This, to me, really, really funny. I know we talked a lot about Quantum Day. Hey, we talked about it coming up. We talked about the quantum stocks. Well, we've traded those quantum stocks on humongous moves and all of that. And yesterday, oh man. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang says he was wrong about the timeline for quantum. Surprised his comments hurt stocks. Really? Really, you're surprised that your comments hurt stocks. You're one of the most popular stocks in the entire market. And here you are saying that you were surprised. He actually went on to say that he didn't know there were quantum public companies. To me, that kind of seems like a misstep, right? I'm sure that there's probably transcripts and discussions or something that some sleuth can dig through and then say, hey, you were discussing quantum stocks on such and such day, and then kind of nail them on it. I don't know. Just doesn't really seem like the greatest choice here. Here's the article we wrote about it. Jensen Huang admits mistake, says, I was wrong about quantum computing. Apology fails to lift. Rigetti, IONQ, QBTS, and QUBT. So all of the ones that we are looking into or trading, all of those seem to be affected here. Let's see. Huang's statements in January pulled the shares of quantum computing companies down, some experiencing losses exceeding 40%. Not a good time there. During CES 2025, Huang stated that the practical quantum computing is likely 2 decades away. I think he actually said 15 to 20 years in that, but nonetheless. NVIDIA set a timeline of 15 to 30 years for very useful quantum computers with consensus, with the company leaning towards a 20-year time horizon, 15 to 20 years. That's kind of what I thought there. Thursday, he said, my first reaction was, I didn't know they were public. How could a quantum computer company be public? I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh here, but it's just some of these comments really just kind of seem silly. I gotta think he knew that there were that there were quantum computing companies. I mean, come on. Huang said, they can explain why I was wrong, pointing toward the panel of speakers that he had invited to his Psi Quantum, D-Wave Quantum, and IONQ. So first, he disparages this or makes a comment that causes these stocks to trade down. Maybe he wasn't intentionally disparaging them. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Then he invites them to Quantum Day, says, hey, guys, I was wrong. Sorry. Didn't realize you guys were public. But here, tell the group why you're awesome. Amazing. Just absolutely amazing here. And again, sorry for laughing, but this entire thing kind of makes me chuckle. So let me know, folks, what do you think on this? Is this going to make, are you more inclined to trade the quantum stocks, less inclined to trade the quantum stocks? Now that he said he was wrong on his time frame, are you more into investing? Do you think we're actually closer? Straight up, do you agree with him or not? Do you agree with Jensen here on that? Very curious to see, very curious to see what you have to say about that. Okay. Midnight. Why Charles Schwab want to charge me to invest in penny stocks? Benzinga. Is that some fee on your broker or something? What? I guess I don't really know what you're referring to on that. See if you can give me some more details on that. I don't know. I don't necessarily have an answer. See if you can give me some more information on that. And I'll do my best to try and help you out with that. Okay, next story that I want to go to here, we can actually start with the chart on that as well. Let me go ahead and switch the screen. SoundHound. How many of you traded SoundHound? I think we had Bernardo here yesterday. Big time move here in SoundHound. This, of course, went from like $3-4 all the way up to 24 plus. Come all the way back into single digits here, but I will say it's done a really good job finding some support and then holding above the 200-day moving average. So we'll see if we can actually trade up off of this level, maybe take out some more of those moving averages here. However, what's going on with SoundHound? SoundHound AI short interest jumps to 32.9%. And the CEO, unfazed, says, quote, bring it on. Only makes the prize of winning bigger. This has some really big Alex Karp vibes there. He likes to publicly attack short sellers on Palantir. The short interest in outstanding shares for the controversial artificial intelligence solution provider SoundHound rose during the latest public reporting period. However, the CEO remains confident in the company's growth prospects, especially after a partnership with NVIDIA. Remember, that partnership with NVIDIA was really what launched this thing into the next price level, and the momentum carried it to a price level above that. About 32.89% of SoundHound's publicly available shares were shorted as of the settlement date on February 28th, having an effective date of March 3rd, representing an 18.71% increase from the prior settlement date. Now, let's go to Pro. Here you go. Here is a history of all of that short interest. I know the numbers might be small, but basically what I'm trying to show you here is that it pretty much from like middle of 2024 to, let's call it the end of 2024. So for the back half of 2024, this short interest was pretty elevated, but didn't really change all that dramatically. After that, it started to creep up. 2025, it started to creep up, and it just set a new high recently. So new high here on short interest on SOUN. Really, this comes down to what side of this are you on? Are you on the side of the shorts, or do you agree with the CEO here? And this might make winning that much sweeter. Also, obviously, as we like to cover here, some of these stocks, especially when they get really good news, can be susceptible to short squeeze type action. And with short interest data that high, that is also possible here. The average daily the average daily trading volume during the latest period decreased from 52.2 million to 49.9 million shares, just a little bit of a decrease there, still quite elevated. The volume indicated that it would require approximately 2.4 days for the short sellers to cover up their positions without significantly impacting the stock price. Now we'll see if that actually stretches out a little bit and gets a little bit longer, because that would really increase the susceptibility of a potential short squeeze. The CEO of the company, Kevyan Mohair, I've probably pronounced that wrong, and I'm sorry, who appeared on CNBC's Fast Money to talk about the company's later partnerships with NVIDIA, said that the increasing shorts did not bother him. Quote, we are an AI disruption, and disruption comes with volatility. We think long-term, comma, and I and my colleagues that shorts don't change our goal. Our goal is to succeed. They only make the prize of winning bigger. So bring it, he said. Bring it. Okay. We shall see here. SoundHound has partnered with NVIDIA to enhance its AI-powered voice solutions. According to the press release, the partnership with SoundHound improved real-time RAG model or real-time RAG, model optimization, and low latency processing for industries like automotive and restaurants. Quote, we are handling a lot of traffic in the cloud and now can deliver more faster and efficient response time to our users, said the CEO. NVIDIA NIM and NEMO microservices will also enhance SoundHound's voice AI platform, reducing latency and improving contextual retrieval, enabling fast, more cost-effective AI deployments. There we go. So what do you think here on SoundHound? Is this a long? Are you playing this for the short squeeze? What do you think about the CEO? Do we get a repeat here of some of the back and forth that we've seen on Palantir with Alex Karp, their CEO, really kind of going after the shorts? Curious to see how you folks feel about that. Very, very curious. Okay, it is just about 8:30. We're actually going to start a little bit earlier because y'all folks love it so much. It is time for the one and only Mark Petrino. Let's go ahead and bring him on. Mark, good morning. Happy Friday. How are you doing here?
Hey, Ryan. I'm doing pretty good. How's it going?
It's going really good. I guess the only thing I can complain about is that one of my 3 brackets, it's effed, man. It is completely broken. I still have the winner in play, but man, oh man, I tried to get cute with some of the picks and I was punished. How about yours?
Well, I didn't do one. My wife did one though, and she picked UConn to lose, so I'm kind of angry about that. But that's another conversation at a different time.
We won't get in there. Happy wife, happy life. We'll just steer clear of that entirely. That's for sure. Okay, so Mark, what lessons do you have for us today? Do you have any charts that you're really kind of paying attention to? And do you want to tell us about your stock of the day? And if you want to go ahead and share, I'd be happy to do that as well.
All right. Let me just...
Okay, midnight, real quick. You were asking that question earlier. First of all, I don't trade on margin. I follow Anne Marie's recommendation. I just trade with the cash that I have. But Mo here saying that you can't trade on margin for some of those penny stocks that are under $5. That's probably in your best interest, frankly. But thank you, Mo. Appreciate that. Midnight. I'm sure any follow-up questions you have, your broker will be able to handle that for you. All right, Mark, let me get my stuff off the screen here. We'll put yours on here. What are we looking at here? Looks like Groupon. All right.
Yeah, this was the stock of the day yesterday. Yeah, I mean, margin's a great thing if it goes your way, but it can also increase your losses if it doesn't go your way. Anyway, this was yesterday's stock of the day, and it just kind of stuck out. This is Groupon, and nothing too special here, but down here in the bottom, we have the RSI indicator. This is a momentum indicator. So momentum is a measure of how far something has moved from time period A to time period B. It's not volatility. A lot of people get the two confused. This here, if you can see, the setting here is 14. So the RSI is measuring how much the stock has moved in 14 days or 14 time periods. Now, if you see, every time it got overbought, here, and here, it was a good time to buy. This goes back over the year. And now we're getting close to the level that had been resistance before. So I have this on the screen for a possible reversal. Maybe it's got another $1 or so upside, but I think maybe a good strategy here would be to just kind of watch the trend. And if this thing starts to break its uptrend, then that's where you get interesting and look for the reversal to start and then jump in on the short side. And now my target, I guess, would be pretty much right down here because this 1380 level is important. And as we know, a lot of times what was resistance can turn into support. Some of the things I'm looking at for today, I didn't figure out what I want to do today yet, but this is a possibility.
Really, really quickly before we take a look at Mosaic there, regarding Groupon here, Jonathan Cooper mentioning that Groupon is still has very high short interest. We were just talking about that on Sound, so I kind of want to get your opinion on it real quick.
Do you know
Just
what it
for,
is off the top of your head?
yeah, just for context here, the most recent read as per the filings, 29.34% of the float shorted with 7.42 days to cover. So when you're looking at some of these key areas here, do you factor in high or low short interest at all for a potential short squeeze?
Well, yeah. Yeah, especially if it's that high. If it's below, if the short interest is below like 10%, I don't think it
Mhm.
really means anything. But 29% is high. But regardless, if the stock rolls over, the same rules could be in play here. That's, I mean, with something with a short interest like that, you got to just be really careful because there could be a potential short squeeze, and which would drive the stock higher. But then when the short squeeze ended, it comes right back in. So regardless of that, I mean, I would make a note of that, but I would still have it on my screen here for a reversal. I mean, look how even with all that short interest, look how much it's gone up.
Well, so that's kind of what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if this move above 1380 enticed those shorts to be like, you know what, I don't even want to mess around with this anymore. I just want to kind of buy to cover.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that would even kind of help our thesis because if this is kind of a short squeeze, right? Once it ends, this thing is just going to come right back to earth. So that could
Mm-hmm.
make it even more, make it even more compelling.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good stuff there. Sorry for throwing you a curveball, but there you go.
no, that's right. I like curveballs.
Okay, so I think we confused the chart here. So what I would do is select a different ticker other than most, just put it in Apple or whatever, and then go back to Mosaic. That should reset everything. I think when I threw
Okay.
you that curveball, and it didn't really know what to do. This should be your Apple chart, and now if you type in MOS, you should be good to go.
Okay. Well, just looking at Apple here,
Okay.
I mean, so the level here is like 220, 221. I mean, until Apple gets back above this level, I don't think the market's going anywhere significant to the upside. The S&P is this right below this resistance. If we go look at the spider S&P, we can see that. And
Hmm.
yeah, we can see if we go down to here, right? See where these bottoms were?
Yep.
So this is another example of the price that was support can convert into resistance. And that's what's happened over the last couple of days. And that's because there are people who bought here who came to regret doing so, assuming they still held their shares when the stock broke the support and went lower, because now they're looking at a losing position. So a lot of the people that bought here that are now losing money are going to try to get out every time the stock gets back up to around here, like 568, 569 or so. So if you can see over the last couple of days, we made 3 runs at it, and each time
Hmm.
we reversed. And this morning we're trading down a little bit. So as long as the S&P is below this level, I would be inclined, just in general, broadly, to be on the short side of the market. All right.
That's exactly what I was saying earlier. So it's great to hear that. It's also worth noting that that entire formation that you just outlined right there is like 2 points beneath the 200-day moving average. So it's clearly trying to trade back up towards the 200, but it just can't even quite get there. It can't even really test it. I think that value, I'm trying to do this by memory. I think that value is 573 and change. Let me pull it here for you real quick. 573.29 is your current value of that 200-day moving average, right above those wicks.
Okay. All right. All right. So I guess I'll go and just show you some of the ideas I was thinking about for today's stock of the day. One is this mosaic really kind of stuck out at me because look at where this is. And now, especially if we're on the short side of the market broadly, we want to find some ideas on the short side within the market. Now, look at the way this thing is ripped. So it's overbought. It's at a level that was resistance. So it's the same, the stuff that we talk about all the time. Sometimes when a market gets to a resistance level, well, let's think about what resistance is, right? It's this large group of people that want to sell, traders, investors around here, around the same price level. So if a market's moving higher, it's because there's not enough supply to fill all the demand, or there's not enough sell orders to fill all the buy orders. So the buyers have to increase the prices they're willing to pay to get sellers interested. When you get up to a resistance level, the tide turns. There's more than enough shares for sale to fill all the buy orders, and that's why we stop moving higher when we get to resistance. Now, sometimes some of the people that created the resistance with their orders, their sell orders, um, start to worry that they're going to miss out, right? They're like, oh, this thing isn't going higher anymore. So that must mean there's new sellers coming into the market, right? I don't want to miss this thing. So I'm going to reduce the price I'm willing to sell at. I was at 29. I'm going to go to 28.90. Someone else sees that offer pop up and it's like, wait a second, they're at 28.90. I'm going to go to 28.80 and so forth and so on. And you get this snowball effect that pushes the price lower. This stuff, we could talk about earnings and we could talk about products and we could talk about margins, but the vast majority of these short-term movements are just the psychology, right? Why do we have resistance at the level that had been resistance before? There's an old saying, sell at former peaks. And it's based on this, right? When you get to a resistance level, or when you get to a level that was resistance before, there's a tendency to be resistance again. And that's because you have people that bought here who are underwater. It's buyer's remorse manifested in a different way. Like we saw support becoming resistance. Now here, it's resistance staying intact. So people buy up here, price goes lower, gets back there. They're like, oh, I can finally get out of break even, so I'm going to sell. Then you get the snowball effect. You get back up to the level. You get the same thing. People from here and maybe some people from here trying to sell to get out of break even. And then you get the snowball effect. So the vast majority of these short-term moves is all just driven by psychology, at least in my opinion. And now this is, we got some gaps here. So gaps tend to occur. Gaps tend to occur two times. One is at the beginning of a trend and one is at the end of a trend. And the beginning of the trend, we can call this like a breakaway gap, right? You can see down here, this was a breakaway gap, and right in here. So this is the smart money saying, I want to buy this thing. I don't care if I got to pay up a little bit. I'm just going to be aggressive and go buy it. So it gaps up. The exhaustion gap comes when it's the people that have been on the sidelines watching and waiting for a better price, and they finally can't take watching it go any higher. So they jump in and they buy aggressively, and that causes a potential exhaustion gap. So I would have this on the screen for also a reversal. And we could do the same thing that we did with Groupon. We could just watch the trend.
Mm-hmm.
If this trend starts to break, there's a good chance. Well, let's just think about how a chart is recorded. All right. Trend lines are not magical. They're not like support levels or resistance levels. And a lot of times people ask me like, how many times does a trend line need to be touched for it to be valid or something along those lines? And the answer is, to me, this is just kind of a visual reference aid, right? To give you a wake-up call. If the market's going up, think about how the chart is recorded. Now, what's the first thing the market needs to, stock that's going up needs to do before it starts going down? And the answer is it needs to stop going up. If you get a couple sideways days where the price is the same, well, just the way you draw the chart, it's going to cross the trend line. So at that point, it's not necessarily a sell signal, but it's like, hey, pay attention. I might be about to go lower. So it's not like a mathematical thing. To me, it's just a visual reference aid. And that's how I try to teach my students how to think about trend lines.
Let me ask you real quick regarding those last two candles there that are right at the top. They look kind of like dojis, almost kind of like neutral candles, which can sometimes signify a reversal. Do you factor in what the candle actually looks like at all when you're coming up with anything? Okay.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. We could talk about like this is this pattern or this is that pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a really interesting thing is that this Japanese candlestick charting goes back to like the 1500s in Japan. That was started by the rice traders. And they look at the same patterns that we look at now because things are very different 700 years later, but human nature is not different.
That's right.
But like some things to look at here for action is like you said, yeah. So the range is kind of getting narrow. So that tells us that the powers of supply and demand are kind of getting equalized. When we're going up, the powers of demand are more, right? But then when we start to kind of go, sideways, it shows us that things are becoming equalized. Like one of my charts of the day, I think a good example of that was Microsoft. Now let's take a look at this. So, well, look at this. This is also another stock that's under important resistance. So right there, right? Mm-hmm. Apple and Microsoft are each below important resistance. So that's probably going to put a top on the market. And again, like I said, I would be on the short side. But if you look at this, right? Let me just get rid of this line. So here's Microsoft trending lower. trending lower, right? Sellers are in charge. And then we get to, oops, sorry. We get to, I want my rectangle, right? So this could be your old, what they call the old rectangle pattern. Now, it doesn't, I mean, obviously it's called a rectangle pattern because it looks like a rectangle. But what is a rectangle? Well, it's just a trading range. So this shows us that the forces of supply, or the bears, were overpowering the bulls, but now things are becoming equalized. The forces are becoming unequal, or the forces are becoming in equilibrium. So that could be the first signal that we're about to go higher. But based on what I saw, I mean, it could be a sign that the leadership is changing. But based on what I saw with Apple, it's going to take a lot to get these stocks really moving above these levels here, especially with the S&P where it is.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And
so
just the sentiment in general.
it just shows you, it's like, hey, the downtrend is over. We're in a trading range. So people might say like, oh, it's a rectangle pattern, but let's just think about what a rectangle is. It's a trading range. If something's trending higher, demand is in control. If something's trending lower, supply is in control. If something's in a range, the forces are equalized. So that could be the first signal that we're going to turn. So that's what I wrote about on that. Another thing I'm thinking about doing today is
real quick, I want to get Brandy's question answered here regarding Mosaic. Brandy was asking, first of all, Brandy says, hope you were well. So let me get that out of the way. But Brandy
Hey,
also
Brandy,
here saying, what would the target be for Mosaic? So I think you talked about that potential break of the trend. What would then the target be? Would it be around that 25 level?
I mean, my target would probably be like right around here, a little bit higher.
Okay.
And then if we get through this, if we got through that, because see, that's the top there, and it's also where we gapped from. So this is another thing where we can talk about action. Remember, this is psychology. So one of the reasons why we get support is because you get these remorseful sellers trying to buy things back, right? Someone sells something at 10 and it goes to 12, and they're like, all right, if it gets back to 10, I'm going to buy my shares back. This is a gap. So just think, if you were the people that sold on the close here, this is like a slap in the face, right? It's not like, oh, damn, it trended higher. It's like, wow, this thing just got ripped higher and I sold my shares yesterday. So that's going to make people from here kind of like more eager than usual than if it was just kind of a slow uptrend. So I would guess there would be some support there. So, I guess the perfect way to play this, and I'm not saying anyone can do it, but if this reverses, you go on the short side, meaning you buy puts, you get down here and you cover. Then if this looks like this level is going to break, you jump back in and buy puts again. And then my next target, would be down here, like you said, around 25.
Okay. Real good stuff. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Brandy is appreciative of that.
Yes. No problem, Brandy. Thank you. So I was looking at Gartner for some reason. Let me see if I can recall why. Oh yeah, here we go. So now this is the opposite. We've been looking at things that were at resistance and overbought. Now we're looking at something that's at support and oversold. So it's the exact opposite dynamics. And this should really like kind of blow your mind. I know, I mean, I think a lot of people take this stuff for granted, but so this is like $413, $413. Where was yesterday's low trade? 412.68. So we're within, a $400 stock, and we're within pennies of where we found a bottom back here. I mean, it's really just amazing. Now, this is because of seller's remorse, and it manifested in a different way. People sold at the bottom, and then the price goes higher. And they're like, oh, damn, if it gets back to my level, I'm going to buy my shares back. So sure enough, when the stock gets back to the level, remorseful sellers from here placing buy orders over here made the level become support again. Now, it's the same thing with yesterday's action. A lot of the people that sold back here are like, oh man, this thing is collapsing. Oh, it got back to the price I sold at. I'm going to buy. So these remorseful sellers put a bottom under it. It's not a coincidence that this is where the sell-off came to an end, at least for now. So it doesn't look like it's doing much this morning. Now this is going to be oversold, big sell-off. So this is just like the kind of the mirror image of the stuff that we were looking at before. One way to have a trigger here would be the way I think what I would consider, right, is if the blue line turns back up, that's your trigger to jump in on the long side. then your initial stop out would be if we get back below the 413 level. And I don't know, maybe target up. This is more than it looks like. This is like 448 and this is 413. So that's a pretty big move.
Yeah.
So my trigger would be, all right, so the setup, this stock is set up to move. That means there's a good chance, not a guarantee, but there's a good chance it's going to make some kind of a tradable move imminently, meaning like maybe over the next few days. So that's the setup. The trigger is, all right, that's the go. The setup is the get ready, get set. When we turn up, that would be the go. Or someone who's more risk tolerant, more risk tolerant, might wait for the blue line to get back above the red line. So the idea is not to try to catch the bottom. The idea is wait for the new trend to form and then jump in. I think if you do that, you put your odds in your favor. There's an old saying. I like old sayings, but one of them is the only people that can get the bottom and the top are liars.
Yeah.
So,
and to be quite speaking of old saying, I would rather wait for confirmation than trying to catch a falling knife. I don't have chainmail gloves, so forget that.
Yeah, people, a lot of people, especially newer traders, they kind of lose track of what it is that they're supposed to do, right? If you're trading, it's like your idea is to make money. It's not about being precise. It's like we can talk about golf, right? It's like, it's not a precise game. You just try to get close. And if you have that mindset, I think you look at the markets in a different way. And what I recommend is people pay attention to their, whether they have it on a spreadsheet or their account on a spreadsheet or at their broker statement or whatever, and just focus on the equity. And your job is to make that increase by the end of the day. And if you really have that mindset, I think you're going to spend less time worrying about getting the exact top or the exact bottom.
Yeah, that's very, very well said. I think you're spot on with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not about being precise, right? It's about making money. And if you can increase your account by 1 or 2% a day, I mean, I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but over the course of a year, that's pretty epic.
It's quite a bit. Absolutely. Oh, TGTX. Yes. This is one of my favorites.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I have traded this a number of times. I currently don't have it, unfortunately, but I've traded this on the Baiynd data a number of times. I can't wait for this breakdown.
All right. Let's look at this. So it looks like we got our breakout here, right? So we got to resistance and then we sold off like we talk about, get to resistance. Now, when a stock gets above a resistance level, we call that a breakout. And that's not merely a symbolic term. It tells us that the people who created the resistance with their sell orders are out of the way. They've left the market. They finished their orders or they canceled their orders, but regardless, they're out of the way. So when buyers come in, they're forced to be really aggressive. And that's why, like, a lot of times when you get a breakout, you get a decent move higher. The traditional way of thinking about this is that this line is, let's say it's 36.15. People that wanted to sell at 36.30 or 36.50 or whatever say, the last time it got up to this level, 36.15, that's where it reversed or whatever, right? So what I better do is reduce the price I'm willing to sell at. So I don't want to miss out. So I was at 38 and now I'm going to just drop down to where this resistance is. So that creates like an air pocket of sell orders above the resistance level. So that's why when the buyers are coming in, they have a hard time finding sellers. You can see we've had a little bit of consolidation and the level that was resistance has converted into support. So that's typically a bullish sign. Now, where would my next price target here be? Yeah, yes. Oh, you know what? So look at that. It's kind of stalled out right around here, but this could be another breakout. Yeah, look at that. So kind of similar action, right? You can see when we break out, we make the big move through the resistance.
Yep.
And this resistance goes back to July of 2021. So this is a good example of market memory. Market memory means that a price level that's important can stay important for a long period of time. And I mean, it's really mind-boggling, but you can see
it looks like there are a couple of more right above that on that same chart there, actually. On that left side, looks like there are a couple more price levels that might come into play here if the stack keeps trading up.
Yeah, like I would look at these, especially if we got up to here.
Yep.
Obviously which I presume is the all-time high, but yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it's really kind of extraordinary the way these price levels can remain important for years. I've even seen decades, I mean, if we look at the financial sector and we go all the way back. Yeah, all right, so let's check this out. So this is the financial ETF. So way back before the housing crisis or the financial crisis, which I remember very well, because it was crazy, man. Like Bear Stearns went out of business.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, a good friend of mine worked at Lehman Brothers, and he had been there like 20 years, and he had like $3 million of Lehman Brothers stock. And because he was a managing director, there's all these like rules that prevented him from selling. So he watched his like retirement account go from 3 million to like $50,000 by the time he was finally able to get out of it. All right. Anyway, so we saw that resistance way back there, and look here. So here we are in 2017, and here we are in January of 20, and same price. I mean, it's 15 years later or 10 years later, but that's what we talk when we talk about market memory. That's what we're talking about.
Indeed. Okay. Oh, you've got another one lined up. I got a couple for you here too when we exhaust
Yeah,
your list.
I'll just want to take a quick look at Nvidia here. So Nvidia is kind of going sideways. Well, you can see, right, the same stuff we talked about. Support at this level that was support, support at the level that was support. All right, I'll take a bunch of questions if you want.
Well, yeah, real quickly here on this Nvidia chart, this looks like a series of lower lows on this way down here. And if you zoom out just a little
The
bit
lower
there,
highs.
yeah, well, both, right? Because
Oh yeah,
again,
yeah. Oh yeah, I see what
that's
you mean.
right. So we actually are kind of in a channel on the way down here on Nvidia, and it does look like some of those lows that it's making were actually previous lows on the way up. So it looks like it's just remembering where it found support on the way up, except it's doing it on the way down.
Yeah,
That's exactly
yeah,
what it looks like to
exactly.
me.
I mean, it's just one of the things about markets is like, certain price levels are more important than others. Sometimes we know why, right? Like round levels are important. Like right now, Nvidia
Yep.
is trading
Yep.
around 120. People don't say if it gets to 121, I'm going to sell it, or if it gets to 119. They
That's
say if it
right.
gets to 120.
I'm guilty. I mean, I always pick round numbers. I very rarely pick oddball numbers like that. Okay, first stock that folks wanted to take a look at here was the Trade Desk, ticker TTD.
Now, this is a good example of the concept of having a trigger, because we looked at this and we talked about this as a potential reversal, right? If I remember correctly,
Mm-hmm.
we jumped down, we had really big volume, we got to a level that had been support before, and I haven't looked at the stock since then, but I probably said one of the things to do is wait for this trend to break before you buy it. And if you notice, it has not broken the trend. So this is an idea where my original thought was wrong, but having a trigger, which wasn't triggered, prevented me from losing money, right? Now it looks like we're kind of breaking the downtrend. So just another thing to kind of keep an eye on here. But
And this is also, I think, reflects one of the importances of having a trading plan, because you're talking about trigger, target areas, support. Like, you want to have all this stuff figured out so that you don't get head faked into this move. Like, even right here at the bottom, it does look like maybe we're starting to break trend. What do you think about what actually executes that trigger? Do you look for multiple closes above that line? I'm assuming you look for at least one close above that area.
well, there are different ways you can do it. I don't think one's better than the other. I think
Okay.
it's people just got to do what fits their personalities. I would say like one potential way here, you see the RSI line, we're still really oversold down here.
Yep. Yep.
So if the RSI line gets back above this horizontal red line, that'll tell us that the selling pressure is really easing. And as we can see, what we talk about is like, what's the first thing a stock that's going down needs to do before it starts going up? And the answer is it needs to stop going down. And sure enough, we've been going sideways. Like,
Mhm.
so here the bears are in control. Now we're forming that little rectangle pattern we talked about,
Yep.
which is really just a trading range. So when something is range bound, the powers of supply and demand are equalized. The market's in equilibrium. When the market's going lower, it's not in equilibrium. As a matter of fact, I call myself a market equilibrium analyst because that's what we're doing. I mean, we're looking for stuff that's out of equilibrium, right? We talk about, I'll use my oft used analogy about the medieval market, where there's one market in 900 in France somewhere, and all the farmers from all around go to that market to sell their stuff, and all the customers go there to buy their stuff. Now, say there's one way in and out of the town, and one of the merchants like has someone watching that way in, and they notice, typically we get 10 cartloads of carrots every day. Today, there's only one carload. Hmm. Oh, I better go in and buy the carrots because I know the price is going to go higher. So this person doesn't know anything about carrots, but they do know that there's a good chance the price is going to go up because there's less supply than usual, which could put the market out of equilibrium. And it's the same thing that we do with these stock charts. We look for stuff that's overbought or oversold or reversing, because that tells us that the equilibrium is changing. So anyway, that's the idea with the old rectangle pattern. So
Okay.
I would have it on the screen. So that could be one possible trigger. Another possible trigger, which is probably what I would do, is wait for it to break out of this range, because the top of a range is what? It's resistance. So every time we get to the top of the range, the sellers overpower the buyers and push the price lower. If we get above the resistance, we break out of the range. That could be the market saying, all right, now the buyers are about to take control. The tide is turning.
Okay. All right. Great stuff there on the trade desk, ticker TTD. Let's see. Apple, you actually already took a look at Apple. That was sweet. Meta, ticker META.
Okay. Yeah, just on Apple, just watch this. The market's not going higher, and as long as Apple's below 220.
And actually, while we were talking here, Mark, the market took a leg lower and looks like it's trying to take another leg lower. Apple doing the exact same thing here in the pre-market. Looks like that was on the back of Goolsby flapping his gums on CNBC.
Well, a lot of people have asked me, like, do I think that this is like driven from the trade war, or I mean, sorry, all the talk of tariffs and so forth? And it's important to understand markets go down too. This is just normal action. We've had. I'm talking about the broader market. We've had
Mhm, mhm.
a big rally, and markets go down. So tariffs or not, yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. Like, if you were just to look at the S&P 500 before I look at Facebook there. I mean, the market's only back to where we were in September, right?
Mhm.
Markets go up, markets go down.
And actually, the market bounced off of the 10% pullback level, which a round number there just from the all-time highs. And now it looks like maybe it's kind of rolling over and it might kind of peak a little bit lower than that 10% level.
Whoops, whoops, typing in.
Yeah, you're used to that FP ticker. Yeah. Been there.
I am proud to say I have never once used Facebook in my life.
You did better than me. I turned that garbage off years ago. Thought I was doing it right. I meet people that never had to experience it. Good on you.
My wife's on it all the time, though. All right, so now here's a thought where if the market was in bullish mode, right? Like, say we had just cleared those important resistance levels we talked about, or coming off an important support level. Well, then the thought would be, all right, let's find some ideas on the long side. And this would be a really good idea for that, because we're at the level that was support before. But I wouldn't really necessarily be so eager, because the broad trend in the market is on the downside, and it's kind of hard to trade against the trend. So that being said, maybe here you look for a breakdown, the support breaking. Support is this large group of buyers, right? Investors and traders who want to pay around the same amount for shares. If we get below that, it's like the mirror image of the breakout. It tells us that the people that created the support with their buy orders are out of the market. Maybe they finished, maybe they canceled. And when that happens, if sellers are coming in, they're going to have to be really aggressive to get buyers interested. And that can end up with the stock moving down rapidly. That's why a lot of times when we break support, we make these rapid moves lower. And then to me, the obvious target here would be just right down around there. And that's a 30-point move. I mean, it doesn't
Yep.
look that big on this chart, but that's 30 points.
And you know what else? See those two wicks that are right there at the bottom and those recent candles? Those two bottom wicks right there? Yep,
Yeah.
that you have punching below that 582 line. You know what those wicks touch? The 200-day moving average. That's right. And this thing is basically sitting on its 200-day moving average. So to your point about this breaking, not only would you be breaking this support here, but you'd also be breaking a pretty key moving average. That might send it to that 553 area.
Yeah, and now you had asked me before about looking at the candles. Now, I don't know what this is called. It's probably called something maybe the inverse sledgehammer or whatever. But let me put this on here. All right, so this is from 2 days ago. Now, let's just think about what this tells us. This one candle, all right? Let's just think about this. A blue candle, the close is higher than the open. So it opened here, got all the way up to here, but by the close came all the way back, assuming that's not like a bad print or something. So this shows us that the buyers tried to power the stock forward or up, but the sellers basically came in and overwhelmed them. So this candle here, even though I don't know what the name of it is, if it has a name, just tells me, wow, there's still a lot of really aggressive sellers around. I mean, when this thing got higher, man, the sellers just came out of the woodwork and really knocked it back down. So forget the name, just kind of think about what the action is showing you. Another kind of interesting thing here too is we've been in this downtrend, and now look at this trading day here, right? And I guess this is what you would call a doji. But the thing is that here the sellers are obviously in control. On a day like this, where the market is basically unchanged, the buyers and the sellers have equated. They've equalized. The next day, the buyers come back into the market. They push it higher, but the sellers push it all the way back down. Now, yesterday, you got a little bit of a move lower, and then there's no recovery today. So that's how I would think about this as a possible idea on the short side, meaning buying puts. We don't want to short stops.
Yeah. And real quickly, that individual candle that you were referencing there has a very, very creative technical name called an inverted hammer. Now, 13 says it's a shooting star candle. I know that is an inverted hammer. It's just a hammer turned upside down.
All right. Now let's think about this, right? The inverted hammer. Maybe it's an inverted hammer. Maybe it's not. I would argue that it's not. And here's why. Inverted candles come at tops. It's a reversal, right? It shows that the buyers finally ran out of steam and the sellers pushed it back lower. So if this was up here, I would say, yeah, that's an inverted hammer. Because for a pattern to be a pattern, it has to come at the right reversal pattern. It has to be at the end of the trend. Like in the CMT, which I'm a member of, if you read their writings, well, I don't know if they have new ones, but some guy, and I don't even remember his name, but I want to use it if I did, wrote like all about the head and shoulders pattern. And his thesis was, the head and shoulders pattern doesn't work because I've been watching it and this is a head and shoulders pattern and that one didn't work out and this is one and that is one. The head and shoulders pattern is a reversal pattern. That means it has to come at the end of a trend. If something is just trending sideways and the price action makes it look like it's a head and shoulders pattern, it's not, because the market's trending sideways. So where the patterns occur is important as well. I mean, think about this, like the inverted, if we had the same action at the end of an uptrend, it's like, on this one day, the buyers got their last hurrah, but the sellers ended up pushing them lower. But now we're at the bottom of a downtrend. So I don't think that this pattern would have the same significance as if it was at the end of an uptrend.
Yeah,
so
and you're not alone. You're not alone. 13 here saying this looks like a shooting star, but it's better at the top of an uptrend. That's exactly what you're saying. Day trader saying, yeah, not being at the top invalidates the shooting star. looks like an inverted hammer. So it's a really good point. The names are less important. I think the concepts of what you're describing here are way more important. And shout out to all of you that recognizing that the actual candle itself or whatever formation depends on what the stock is actually doing in the trend. That's really good. That's a really good takeaway from this. Okay. God, we did go over. I did have one more here that
Sure.
that was asking. Nike, ticker NKE 13. We'll get you on here in a sec. Nike just reported earnings. You want to talk about a reversal? This thing reported earnings last night, traded up right after the earnings, immediately reversed in the after hours and went lower still this morning. So we also broke a ridiculous support that we had between 70 and 71. Lower we go. What does the chart tell you here at Nike?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, right? Where are we this morning? Down here. Yeah, so I mean, you had this support around 70, 71.
Yep.
Boy, I don't know. I mean, it looks to me like this could keep going lower. I mean, I think the next point of interest was actually be, kind of around maybe 60, 60, 62. This is the COVID bottom here. So
Yep.
obviously
I
a lot
called
of
it 60 to
volatility.
63 in my breakdown earlier. It looks like you're in the exact same spot.
But again, we don't need to be precise, right? We just, regardless of where it turns, if we know that it's turning, that if we know that the reversal is starting, then that's where you jump in. You don't just try to catch the old falling knife, as they say.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
what is this here? This must be some kind of a bad print. But that's a few years ago, so we're not going to worry
Yeah, and
about
by the way, that meta that you had said, as long as this isn't a bad print, indeed, that was not a bad print. That it actually traded up all morning, reversed at midday, and then went all the way back down. So that was legit.
Sometimes you get moves like this, and I'll explain why. Oh, damn. A lot of times you have an accident, right? Or it's a mistake. I'm not saying, what was it? Which one was it where we had that big move? Was it Meta?
Nike? Are you talking about the candle, the inverted hammer that's right there?
Yeah.
Right at the end there. That was, in fact, Meta. It's, yesterday's candle, I believe.
Okay. Well, sometimes, and I'm not saying this is the case here,
20th. Yeah.
but if we look back, like at what we just saw where we had that big move higher, there could be like a trader out there that has an algorithm that says, all right, let's buy 10% of the volume. And I used to see this all the time when people first really started using these algorithms. So let's buy 10% of the volume. So let's just say 100,000 shares traded. So you would know that, hey, I bought 10,000 shares. Now, let's just say someone out there trades a block of the stock. They find a person who's willing to sell 100,000 shares and a person who's willing to buy 100,000 shares. So now all of a sudden, there's 200,000 shares on the tape. That algorithm, if there's no limit on it, it's just going to go out there and try to catch up with the 20%. So it's going to go buy another 10,000 shares, regardless of the price, if the trader who entered it didn't put in the right instructions. And that could cause something to just skyrocket and then come right back to earth. I don't think it happened here, but it does happen every now and then. You'll see these like ridiculous moves, and there's really no explanation behind it other than, to me, that someone somewhere had a fat finger error, or
Yep.
they just didn't understand the way the algo was programmed.
Yeah, I've always looked at that and called it a fat finger trade. So, okay,
That's like the hardest thing about being an institutional trader is, I mean, literally, you press the wrong button and you could like put your firm out of business.
yeah. So, do you like check, double check, triple check, like entry and order tools and stuff like
Oh
that?
God,
I've
oh
never
yeah.
worked in an institution, so I'm asking out of ignorance.
A big part of being the head of trading. See, I was the head of trading at 3 different big
Mhm.
institutions, and people think it's all about like, oh, I bought the stock at 20 and now it's at 21. I did a great job. Yeah, that's fantastic. But the more important thing is to have a defensive mindset, because, things can go wrong really quickly. And what I have experienced is that things go bad when people are bored, like on slow
Yeah.
days.
Oh yeah.
That's where you get your mistakes. Like the fast days where people are into it. Um, there's a lot less mistakes, but there could be a whole range of things. You want to buy 100,000 shares and you send it over on electronically, but you typed in an extra zero. So now your broker gets the order. They go out and buy 1 million shares, and it's like, I just overbought by 900,000 shares. Now I got to sell this 900,000 shares, and that's going to drive the price lower, and I'm going to have
Oh
a big
man.
error on my hands. Um, so stuff like that happens. When I used to interview people, I would always kind of like give them this as the first question, and it would always kind of shake them up a little bit. I'd be like, "So, all right, so tell me about some of the errors you've made, because I want to know. I don't care that they made an error. I want to know that they have a
How'd you
defensive
handle it?
mindset, and
Yeah.
that's they're thinking about that. Like we had a situation one time at my last firm where we got a new account and one of the positions got imported 2 times. So I thought it looked like there were 100,000 shares in the account, but there was really only 50. So when we went to sell the position, we oversold by 50,000 shares. And fortunately, the stock didn't move that much. And by the time we figured out what happened, we were able to buy it back without a big loss. But you still got to inform all your clients,
Yeah.
because it went through their account. So it's embarrassing, but you have to
Yeah.
do it. You have to call all the clients and tell them that there was an error, and and what happened. And another big thing about being a trader, the head of trading, and the regular traders are just doing the trading. The head of trading has the oversight. Like all the accounts need to be fairly treated. The- So even a small account where they pay little fees, or a huge account where they pay huge fees, you got to treat them the exact same. Like if you're buying a block of stock, you got to prorate it over all the accounts. And I saw a situation one time. This didn't happen at my firm, but a lazy trader went out and they had an order to buy, I don't know, I'll just say hypothetically 200,000 shares, and
Mhm.
they bought 40,000 shares, and so they left 160 to buy the next day. So that trader, instead of prorating it across all the accounts, put it in the account that was their biggest account, which pays them the highest amount of fees. So lo and behold, the next day that stock got taken over and it was up like 50%. So now if you're a regulator and you go in there, you're like, oh, so you put the block of stock in your biggest account. You ignored all your other accounts because they pay less fees. So things like that are the
Ugh.
issues that head traders have to deal with. It's very it's not as glamorous as it sounds. Trust me.
No, it isn't. And I'm sure there's a lot of hidden stress in there and all of that. Okay. Mark, awesome stuff here today. I really appreciate the extra time here and all of the lessons. Thanks as
Yeah, my
always.
pleasure, everybody. Oh
Yeah.
wait, let me pump my Substack.
Yeah, definitely. Pump
Mark
it.
Petrino, CMT at Substack.com.
Let me see if we've got one here. Here you go. Here you go, folks. Also, QR code for you there, Mark. So if you don't want to just enter in that web address, just go ahead, use your camera, scan that QR code.
Sweet. All right, everyone. Thank you. I'll
We'll
see you
get
all
you in
next
there.
week.
All right, Mark. Enjoy the rest of the basketball. Have yourself a great weekend. We're going to catch up with you next week.
Okay, thanks.
All right, folks, that is Mark Petrino. Awesome lessons from him on the regular. Keep joining for us on Friday, and be sure to check out his Substack. Let me know if you need that QR code again. Okay, Mark's departure leaves room for 13. 13, first of all, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you this morning?
I'm
How's
doing
everybody out
really
there?
I'm doing really, really good. I'm gonna start off with an apology. I know we're a little truncated for time here, so I'm gonna turn this over to you and kind of let you drive the boat here. I didn't see a ton on the movers, but we'll start wherever you want. You call the ball.
Let's just get these movers out of the way because
Done.
this just hasn't been the greatest week for movers. The list hasn't been very long, and some of these just don't last very long when the market opens either. So let's just get through these, and we can look at some more real companies.
Okay.
So start with I've got ALUR, and just to give you a little heads up here. Some of these names are on relative volume, like their moves were yesterday. This is one of them because they had no new news today. Really, this was on the initial results from their trial yesterday. They reported this yesterday, so that we're seeing this movement off of relative volume. I think the 50-day SMA was also kind of in the way here. We just traded up to the 50-day SMA. That's going to be a little bit of a resistance area. There is a gap to fill if we do happen to get above it. That gap is going to start at about 441 and close at about 490. So if we do end up capturing that 50-day SMA, that'd be the next thing to look for. Company has about 3/4 worth of cash, so not necessarily sure they're going to need to do a capital raise soon. but I wouldn't say that they are going to never need to do one. They also have 5.1 million shares in the float. So that's ALUR. It's been getting going in the pre-market. I just noticed as we were wrapping up with Mark that it was trying to make its way up to the pre-market high of 421. We only got as high as 417 before we started to get a bit of sellers stepping in. If this continues to hold VWAP into the open here, we could see another impulse move to the upside.
Okay, here you go. Now, real quickly, the news that was reported yesterday was reported after the bell. So it was not as if it was during the regular day. This was 4 p.m., 4:05 p.m. that we got that piece of news. So this actually has not seen a regular session since that news came out. I also noticed here that the volume this morning much higher than it was yesterday. Part of me wonders if people were watching some basketball or something. Just saying. All right, good stuff there with ALUR. I can't remember if you had mentioned anything about the short interest. So I just want to take a quick look at that. 2.45% with 1 day to cover. Pretty much nothing on there.
There's another one. There's another one that has better short interest. We'll get to that one.
And we are going to get to that one. Do you want me to just go down the list, or do you want me to go in order?
You can go down the list. That's fine.
Okay, next one here is going to be IBO. Scott's saying news came out after market close on ALUR, right? Correct.
Yeah, and we have seen some of these after the market closes news come out, and they do pretty well in the pre-market. They'll probably have some kind of impulse move or some price action that at least the upside out of the gate. But a lot of these that we've seen that report the day before or have these clinical trial results or whatever their news PR is the day before, it doesn't tend to have as much steam going into the market the next day.
Okay.
Better ones are in the morning. Sorry.
Here, nope, all good. Here you go. IBO, Impact Biomedical. Now, this definitely moved yesterday in the regular session, right? And it did so on volume. Moved again in the after-hours session, and then again here in the pre-market. First thing that I noticed right off of the bat here, here you go. This double top right up here at about 510. This is the after-hours high. It was also the pre-market high here today. Now, we've lost some of this, but still a lot of volume traded here. Shares trading higher on no news. Has any other news come? Nope. Looks like still relative volume. So whatever happened yesterday, middle of the day here, clearly this is carrying over to today. 13, you got any levels on this?
Yeah, we're going to be keeping an eye on that 513 area. That's where the double top was. We are trading beneath VWAP, so we are going to want to see a recapture of that if we're going to have any success in trading this to the upside. We are getting support from the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. That is where we bounced at 8:10 this morning. We're at 9:17 right now. So about an hour ago, we bounced off that 200 EMA level. We're trying to get back up to VWAP and the 65 EMA. The 65 EMA was support for this double top area here, but as soon as we lost it at about 7 this morning, we have not been able to get back above the 65 EMA. So both the 65 EMA and the VWAP have to be recaptured if we're going to trade it to the upside, and that's going to be a little bit more of a task for this one. Other resistance levels that stand out to me, $4 looks like one, but then we also have this consolidation here from the pre-market following the double tops. That consolidation is going to be from about 4 to about 480.
Okay, good stuff there. Bonjour, Smoke Tuna. Good morning. Hopefully you're doing well. Great to see you here. Jonathan saying warrants at IBO at 375.
Yes, thank you, Jonathan. I forgot to mention that. You're right. The warrants at 375. So they're being could trade right back up to that. It's funny is that VWAP is about at 375. It's at 372.5.
Okay, so, I've got mine at 405, but right in there.
Yeah, so we could just see this, this move right back up to VWAP, and it could be problematic for this stock right around that area. So we'll see what we get. If it breaks through that, then we'll trade it to the other levels. But we can probably expect there to be some resistance around VWAP.
Okay, awesome. All right, next here is going to be PNBK. This is Patriot National Bank Corp. This spiked yesterday here, announces a over $50 million private placement, departure of the CEO, David Lowry. I'm not familiar with him. This popped up to 2 yesterday, came back in here today, but we still have volume here this morning. Does look like it's curling maybe off this 136 level. It's going to be your 200 EMA on the 5. Do a quick look around the horn here on PNBK. Short interest here, 11.03. Actually, a significant increase from the prior read. 2.6 days to cover on this puppy and 3 million shares in the float. What do you got here, PNBK?
So their last earnings, they seem to report a pretty significant loss. Maybe that's one of the reasons why this the CEO is being replaced. 11% of the float shorted, 3 million shares in that float. Didn't really look into this too much, as this was one of the last ones I was looking at. Just noticed that you were saying that the 50 million private placement, the CEO leaving. So turning to the technicals instead, I'm seeing that we are getting some pretty good support here from the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. That's been giving the support for the price ever since we came off the highs in the after hours yesterday. We've just been kind of trending mostly just mostly down. You can even draw a trend line from the highs yesterday and see that that's where the price is currently trying to get back up to. We've recaptured VWAP in the pre-market here, but the next level of resistance that we've come up to, I think once already, since we moved over the VWAP, is going to be 155. When you look to the left here, especially with the very early morning pre-market trading, that was the area of support before we lost it at about 5:35 this morning. So 155 going to also be a very important resistance level to get through if we're going to break this trend in PNBK.
Okay. Jay, PNBK, my old stomping ground, Stamford, Connecticut. Jay out there winning golf tournaments in Connecticut. Pretty cool. All right, PNBK. Next here is going to be XIII 10 Holdings. This is just a relative volume play. This was earlier in the week. Looks like it was Wednesday that we really kind of took a look at this one. Yesterday, we spent most of the day selling off and coming back down to earth, but we did pop here in the pre-market on some pretty light volume. We've really struggled to get above the VWAP. So for me, that's going to be step number one if we're going to trade this thing. Also, keep in mind here real quick, short interest, 3.1% of the float shorted there, 1 day to cover. I don't think this thing had any splits or anything. Nope. And then on the overview here, 3.8 million shares in the float. So 13, you got anything on this one? XIII 10 Holdings.
Didn't cover this one too much, but that's okay because this is one that I remember we were talking about this earlier this week. So some folks were bringing this up as a trade. I think it was on Wednesday that we were, I was being asked about this one because it was underneath $1. And I remember looking at this one and going, I'm sorry, I don't have enough information or data on this one to really give you a good assessment of where I think this thing goes. It did end up going over $1 because this is still pretty new. I mean, this IPO'd, last month. So I didn't have a whole lot on this. We do finally have a 20-day SMA that we did pop over on Wednesday, the day that I was asked about this, and we held above it yesterday. We did get that 20-day SMA as support. So we're still trading above that. I wouldn't want to see this thing go underneath $1 because I think we're going to go right back into having this get hammered. But it seems like it's holding above that 20-day SMA, holding above $1. Like I said, don't have a whole lot of information on where I think this thing goes. But I think the fact that it's holding above $1 and this moving average is an encouraging sign that it's not necessarily going to break down yet. Okay.
You got any others on your movers list there?
Just RNAS, because that was moving crazy. It's got a very high short interest, 77% of the float shorted, and the float's not very.
God, you weren't kidding. What a jump too! Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know why this suddenly got hated so much, but it's heavily shorted and it's got a very low float. 696,000 shares in the float. I didn't necessarily take a look at the reason why it was moving. I thought that maybe this is just a squeeze. I didn't need to dig into it any further than that. It is a biotech, so unless they had some kind of looks like they did have some kind of clinical trial information that was released and some price target. That was by XIII Wainwright that came out yesterday. So beyond that. This probably is just another R-vol move, and it's the high short interest is helping it move along much higher because it is squeezing.
Yeah, and remember, those Wainwright targets are often high, sometimes completely out of whack like that. So, okay, good stuff there on RNAS. The only other one that I saw here on the list was ELAB. This is one that we've traded before. This one spiked out of the open yesterday on what felt like yesterday elevated volume, but not really all that high. Came all the way back in, pretty much came back down to near where the close was. And we're doing the same thing here, except in the pre-market. Spiked up this morning, came back. We're actually beneath VWAP. We tried to test VWAP and go higher, couldn't do it. So want to see if this actually firms up. We definitely want to see more volume in the regular session and want to see if we can get through some of those levels. 23.76% of the float shorted here on ELAB with 1 day to cover. And your float here, another one, man. Another micro low float here, 573,000 shares in the float.
And interesting news here. Funny enough, Newport Beach, California. That's in the county from where I'm from. But this company, the news today, they are repurchasing shares from existing shareholders that have contacted the company directly. So I haven't read too much into this. I'm kind of wondering what that's all about. Are these disgruntled shareholders that hit them up saying, "Oh, I'm going to sue you," and this and that, and they said, "Well, we'll just buy your shares back. How about that?" That's my first initial takeaway from this. I haven't read through this, so I don't know if that's exactly the case. But just this headline here is very interesting. So thought that'd be
really quickly. This press release saying this does not constitute an offer to sell any securities, and from what I see here, it does not mention in here the company. Yeah, they're not mentioning the reason. That might be something to look into there. Interesting. I don't know that I've seen that before.
I know, me neither. That's why I thought it was kind of funny.
That's interesting. All right, we will absolutely watch that. You guys are also mentioning here, I know we were going to move away from this, but you folks are bringing this up here. VVPR, looks like this news came out 7 minutes ago. Ticker VVPR, this is Vivo Power International. Stock's up 43% here. PR here, Tembo ELV progresses business combination agreement with CCTS at a combined enterprise value of $904 million.
Wow.
So, okay. Let's take a quick look here at some other data. 5.16% of the float shorted with 2.37 days to cover, 4.9 million shares in the float. Here's your chart. No, it will be your chart here in a sec. Big time rip to the upside. Interesting. We actually did have a little bit of action yesterday, although it came all the way back in, then grinded up the rest of the day. Now we're getting this PR here, 130. This actually might rip here.
Might go to 146. That's where the 200 EMA is on the daily chart. And that EMA has kind of suppressed almost every recent spike in price volatility that we've had with this company. You can go back to the 5th of December or the 13th of January and see that area has also been providing resistance at that from the 200 EMA has been providing resistance from that price action, even back to August. So the first thing I'm going to want to see is tested this price action. We probably might get it right here of 146. Could cool off a little bit after we test that, but we'll see what happens. If it comes back in after we test 146, we do have some levels that come back into like 140, 130, be one of those two levels. So there it is, 146. Let's see if we move through it or if we come back in. Okay, that's all I've got for VVPR right now. It's a pretty interesting PR headline there.
Yeah, it sure is. And this is absolutely ripping here. Okay, the rest of the stuff here on the list, a lot of those direction ETFs that we talked about yesterday. Shout out, Ed, and the direction team. Can't wait to have them back. Okay, I'm going to flip over to the main workspace. We're getting ready to open here. We're under 2 minutes. We actually did a pretty good job covering some of the bigger stocks with Mark. We hit a lot of them that we normally take a look at here. Rustam, I know you were asking about RCAT. Take a quick look here. Looks like nothing's going on.
Yeah, nothing that I see. I mean, there was a just a moment ago, like a pop over VWAP, and then it came right back in after, not having a whole lot of price action prior to that. But I don't know exactly what's going on with that there. And look at VVPR now, friends. Once we hit that 146, we really came in under 130 now. That thing, that EMA. We might revisit it later too. Just needs to start finding some support on this way down here. You don't want to see this go under $1 BVPR.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Definitely.
Anyway, back to
You're good,
ARCAT.
dude.
Back to ARCAT. It is got an encouraging that move is encouraging. It's got a little bit more volume. You just want to see it get back over VWAP. But once we do that, we might have a better time trading this. There's also this consolidation from ever since we closed into the drop at about 840 in the pre-market. That whole consolidation there is going to be a supply zone. So that's likely one of the reasons why this pop that we just got here got rejected so quickly, because that supply zone there came into play.
Okay, a number of you folks are also mentioning RGC here, and again, no news. This just to kind of remind you, I know we're open here. This is $4 to what, 65 in just a couple of days on pretty much no news.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. I'd have to look into that.
Yeah, really no short interest. That feels like a pump. I don't know for sure. It sure feels like a pump though. That's going to be RGC.
All right. Let's see here. All right, let's look at some of these movers now. So ALUR out of the gate here, we are trying to hold VWAP, low volume. IBO, that dropped down to its 200 EMA again and popped back up to the consolidation that it was putting in after its first test of the 200 EMA in the pre-market. Kind of still in the sideways zone. RNAS, that also dropped. This one is not having a great time getting above its VWAP, but remember the float is very, very large on this one, so. This might need some time finding a base. Yeah, RNAZ. Yeah.
Yeah, that floats under $1 million.
Okay, yeah.
I think you just said the float's very high on this one. It's under $1 million.
I'm sorry. I'm at the short interest. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to make sure.
I'm sorry.
I have it right.
You're right.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, the short interest is very high. The float, no, it is not very high. It is trying to get back above VWAP. Exactly. So if we get back above VWAP here, the next resistance level of interest to me is going to be 112. The high of the pre-market is 115, but it's still trying to hold above $1. If it loses $1, then probably not going to want to look at this.
Okay. Yeah, and it's flirting with that level as we speak. 13. Okay, good stuff there. Initially here, I know some of you are calling for a lower market here. Definitely feels like that. Market did bounce a little bit right at the open, but that initial candle immediately got pulled. NVIDIA rolling over to the lows, seeing puts get bought there, seeing puts getting bought in Amazon here. Amazon's actually trying to bounce. AMD, more puts. This lower we go. PDD puts, boy, Nike puts. Holy smokes. Lot of bearish option action here out of the gate. Lion here saying the market's going lower, period.
Oh yeah, I mean, we were talking yesterday about the SPY and how the series of candles we've been getting this week, having a really hard time getting above that previous all-time high of 568 and 69 cents. That was a September all-time high, and it just had the hardest time this week getting above that and staying above it. Could not close above it. So I think that was our biggest indicator of a market rolling over. We also had the formation of a bearish scallop. So we're kind of getting that resolution now. We are still need to go underneath the 10% level again, but I think this next visit down to 550, should we get down there? I think we will. We're probably going to end up closing or falling through 550 and going lower. That would be my expectation at this stage. BDPR wants to rock it. Has it not already done that? But I get your point. IBILN. RCAT. This thing is still trying to get back up to that through that consolidation, that supply area. Volume needs to be a lot better than this. The MACD is indicating that it wants to try and go higher, but once we get through that supply zone, I think this will trade better if it does get above that supply zone. VVPR trying to hold VWAP. PNBK polling here, losing VWAP, coming down to that 200 EMA again. Well, hello there. SPY will hit 525. I don't doubt it. I think that's where we can end up going to. Maybe even lower if the selling continues. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. What happened with Ryan? Did we lose him? You feel a rate cut on the horizon? I don't see rate cuts happening in the first half of this year. I'm still kind of sticking to that. It doesn't seem likely to me. Probably going to be more in the back half of the year. At the very earliest, it could be June or July. And I know June's still part of this half of the year, but still don't think that we're going to see rate cuts before then. All right, so IBO getting up to VWAP and now trying to break through here. This may end up going higher. RNAS still getting support from the 65 EMA, but this is continuing to look weak. PNBK, after selling, it's trying to recapture VWAP. Sell is sucks. Oh, cellular service sucks. Gotcha. Okay. VRPX had a nice opening. I'll take a look at that one. VRPX. Yeah, went up to 377, and now we're trying to hold. Well, I guess we just lost the VWAP, but we're trying to recapture it. VVPR 110. That's where you think this is going down to, because the current price right now is 126, 127. Yeah, I know. Here I am. Let me see if I can share my screen. I don't know what happened with Ryan there. Give me 1 second. Close that, and there we are. So there's SPY. Which one should we be looking at here? RNAS. That doesn't look great. Need a smaller time frame. Which one do you want me to look at, folks? Tesla? Tesla green? Let's see what Tesla's doing right now. Okay, so that's a nice move out of the open there. What does the daily chart look like for us? So we did come off that 226, recaptured 232. We are still trying to get above this 500-day SMA. And this, I drew this trend line here for some reason. I think that was just a see if it would recapture this this trend line or not. But so far it has not. I think we need to get above 500 SMA first to do that. So that's Tesla. What else do you want to look at? TNXP is going. Let's take a look at TNXP. Up 16%. Let's look at a smaller time frame. All right. What's the news here? Don't see the $70 price target. Other than that, not sure we're about the movement here. So if I'm an analyst and I just throw out a price target, I guess that's what this is what we can expect. Let's who wants to see their stock go? Give me some tickers, and I'll say I'm an analyst, and we can give a price target that makes it rip. That's all it takes these days. RNAS will be number one on top of gainers today. This is NEDV or NEDV. Let's look at that again, RNAS, because that was the short squeeze one. Not looking like it's going to be the top at the moment. Maybe if it gets some support down around some of these, well, this is an SMA, so I'm not going to really be leaning on that for day trading. Brian's internet went out. He'll be back soon. Okay, no problem. We will just wait for him. Just move some of these exponential ones here. There we go. That's what we want to see. So we lost the 65 EMA. We're coming down to the 200 EMA. This thing under $1 now. Not sure I like this one here under $1. All right, what else we want to look at here? VVPR reload. I mean, I don't think it's done spending its magazine yet. Still ripping. XLD moving with volume. Sorry if I'm missing, or XLHD, I think is what you said. I'm sorry, hold on a second. What was that one you said? XHLD. There we go. All right. So we're coming back up to where the highs were in the pre-market. This candle here, we're going to want to see. Let's see, what is this, about 137? That's going to be the high we want to take out. We're getting above some of these moving these EMAs, so that's a good sign. Got to get above 122. That's going to be the next thing that we want to see here with this one. Oh, let's see. Get ready in 10 minutes for what? Do we have another Fed member talking? Probably got hacked from China. Well, it wouldn't surprise me. They love hacking everybody. MU pounded. Now that's interesting because they had some pretty good earnings. They guided higher, and now they're getting pounded. So what does that tell you about the market? Seems like it doesn't matter what the earnings were yesterday. If you were guided higher, if you guided lower, you're still going down today. And that's quite a change. So far with MU, we still have not been able to get past. Let me just switch over to my simple moving averages. We've not been able to get back above this 200-day SMA. It continues to be a big area of suppression. Every spike. And it looks even worse on the monthly chart. Look at this. It's like a porcupine. Don't go near those. All right. What else are we? VVPR is going. CRVO halted. AEP positive. I'll take a look at all of those. Switch back to my EMAs. We'll start with AEP since that was first. American Electric Power. This actually doesn't look too bad to me. That's a daily chart. Let's see what the 5 minutes gives us. So we had some of this action here, a little bit of liquidity. And seems like we're kind of coming up to the same area that we've been coming up to. A little bit of a rounding action here. What does that look like on a daily? So that's this. So I guess we're going to want to get back over the high there, about 106.83. Is that what we have here? Yeah, 106.83. And seems like there's also a bit of a trend here to break. Oh, look at that. Look at that. We're coming right up to that. So there's your trend to break. We start trading above this, we may get some better price action. Could still back test it after we break over it, but that's the trend line to break with AEP, American Electric Power. All right, so VVPR, Vivo Power International. This thing looking pretty good. Come on, chart. There we go. Nothing but green candles so far today. They're high. RSI is very high. Let's be careful with this. I wish I had some levels put on here. Let's do that though. Let's put some levels out here. See what we can do. So this 146 EMA. That's what we were looking at for resistance in the pre-market, and it was. But now we're breaking over it. We want to see 184 get taken out. Looks like 220 may also be a level. Let's just stick with those for now. 184 and 220 if we can hold this 200 EMA. All right. Yep. Amazon reversing. I'm sorry, there was one more that CRVO. That's it. CRVO. Servomed. Wow, look at this thing go. This thing has been ripping. Look at this movement. What is float? 5.3.
All right. Sorry about that. I'm back. That's absolutely embarrassing. Comcast is literally one of the worst companies out there. It is one of the worst companies out there. They absolutely suck. Their service sucks. Their product sucks. Their pricing sucks. Everything about them is awful. Sorry about that.
Let's see. That's what is the tickers? Comcast.
Yeah, seriously.
There we go. Okay, so that's deservedly down. Deservedly down. See, this is what happens when you kill Ryan's internet. You get this action.
Yeah, it's like it's annoying. Okay,
I hope it never breaks this trend. No worries. Let's see. Do you want to? Okay, so you got your chart back. Perfect. All right, I'm going to stop sharing, and let's go back to the broker.
My entire broker is messed up now. unreal, man. This is
All right.
unreal.
Okay, so the let's see, that was CRVO that was ripping. Let me just take a look here and see what. Okay, so we went up to 16, and now we're pulling. Get you some levels here for this one if we are going to go any higher. Wow, 16 was a pretty nice level there. Might see 1851 or 1850 if that can start turning around here. Looks like it's trying to get back up to over 15. But $16, that's going to be the level to take out. And if we do take that out, I'd be looking at 1850 as the next resistance level. VRPX. Amazon, we bought the bottom. Izzy. All right.
I'm trying to follow along with you. I'm still trying to get set up. I'm sorry.
You just take your time and get situated. I will. I'll just keep throwing out what I've got. All
right.
I need help on. Okay, so Master needs help on NAK. You've been in it for 2 months. Want to see an exit point. Well, let's see if I can find. If I can help you figure out where this is going here. What's up?
I was laughing at Hellcat here. Is Ryan's internet causing the market to go down? I can appreciate that. I can at least laugh at that one. That's good. You know what's funny? Real quick, who was that said that? Pete said get Verizon or AT&T. I actually looked into AT&T. I'll tell you what. There's never been a service that I have wanted to cancel more in my life than Comcast. I cannot wait to make that call and say, stop charging me, you absolute crooks. I can't wait to make that call. But unfortunately, I need high-speed internet, and AT&T does not offer fiber in the area that I'm at, unfortunately. I'll check again, though. Maybe I need to do that. Okay, I should be all right now. Looks like things are stable. Now that I've said that, I'm probably cooked. Tesla ripping to the highs here. Thank God I didn't have any trades or wasn't trying to put any trades on there. I'd have lost my mind.
So, Master, if you've had this for 2 months, it seems like you might be either break even or doing really well. So if you're just looking for an exit to take profit, I mean, I can't be the one to advise you on that, but it seems like you might already be doing just fine. But if you're looking for an area to take profit, I would just kind of lean on some of these levels you have from back in like 2021, where we were making these same prints of the price. And it looks like you may see some resistance around 80 to 85 cents. You could also get some resistance in 95 cents. I don't know what your goal with NAK is, in terms of your profit target, but it seems like at any stage, if this goes up, I mean, now we're over 80, so you probably are still doing pretty well. I just don't know exactly what you're looking for here, because it seems like you're positive as far as I can tell. T-Mobile has been outstanding. Verizon is garbage. Stay away from. Verizon and AT&T have come off some pretty harsh lows, so I'd be a little bit more careful with those. T-Mobile has also been on a bit of a run, but I'm kind of interested in T-Mobile just because of the Starlink angle. I know that Verizon and AT&T are working with ASTS. I just don't know if that ASTS is going to be able to be more competitive than SpaceX's Starlink. I just can't tell at this point, but I don't think Verizon and AT&T are garbage. They do pay a pretty good dividend, but I don't think I'd want to own them up here. I'd want to own them lower if I was going to play their dividend. They've been on too much of a nice run.
Arnaz looks like it had a huge dip and then rip back to the highs here. I would just be very, very careful with this one. And what's going on with CRVO? This thing went from $2 to 14 in like 7 trading sessions.
Yeah, I don't know, but I will find out. Let's see here. CRVO. This is a biotech. It's got 16.
It's from the news from Wednesday, March 12th.
They just had earnings. They missed on EPS.
March 10th, they had data. March 11th, the stock did nothing. And March 12th, the thing went absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I'd have to look into this some more. Maybe there's a filing that has all the information we're looking at for. But I see that it does have some short interest in it. I think about 17% of the float shorted, with 12 days to cover. Yeah. So that could maybe be playing a part in it. But I don't have the exact reason why we're seeing such a crazy series of moves over the past week. All right.
Okay. Tesla's still ripping here. Tesla ripping to the highs. I'm seeing more call sweeps come in on Tesla. These all expire today. These are all short-term sweeps, but they are pretty aggressive. Looks like they like Tesla higher here. We did have some news on Tesla, by the way. I don't know if this is really affecting the stock. Let me see if I can grab that for you here. Elon yesterday, here's the story. We don't need to necessarily share the story, but I'll throw it in the chat here for you in case anyone wants to go over this. Elon says, quote, hang on to your stock in a surprise late evening Tesla all hands meeting. Talked about AI supercomputer, 7 million EVs, and the Optimus robot. Now, I don't know if that's what's leading to the move here today, but Tesla definitely strong since the open here.
Let's see here. What does this look like to me? I mean, let me just give me 1 second. I want to take a look at something here with this because this has been getting hammered pretty well. But I think we were still looking for 200 in this one. And I do have that trend line that I drew, so maybe we test that before we come back down.
Well, just kind of using what Mark was talking about earlier here. He's kind of focusing on, like, he called it his rectangle. Let me, this volume.
Oh yeah,
making it hard to see. And he was basically saying how, it really kind of looks like maybe this is kind of going sideways. Now, to your point about the trend line, that's a good one, 13. And we can actually put this on here. I would actually draw it like this. I'd actually cut that other wick off a little bit. You can see we got a ways to break that trend line, but you kind of using the same thing that Mark was doing here with the rectangle. Sure looks like we've kind of created that formation right in here. And the next move might be figured out when we break out or break down from this rectangle.
I kind of look at this as more of a triangle formation. We are kind of going back and forth in a triangle, but you can see that as we move further in time, ever since we've made this low from March 11th, the price has been compressing more and more. The lows are getting higher, and the highs are getting lower. So that would be more of a triangle to me. Not that I wouldn't say that the rectangle isn't something that we can also watch for, but the price appears to be compressing more, not necessarily hitting those same lows and highs that you would see in a rectangle. That's just the way I'm looking at this. We're compressing a little bit more instead of just kind of bouncing around the same range,
Yeah, my gut tells me we probably break up out of here. That'd be my gut if I had to make. Don't have a Tesla position. Nervous about putting anything on after what just happened here.
Yeah, I still think the market has some more downside ahead of it.
I mean, I'm looking at other stuff here, and it is getting pounded. I mean, Apple's up. I guess Amazon, nice little dip and a move higher there. Congrats, Izzy. But a lot of this other stuff getting hammered. Small caps back into their death spiral.
RNAS, really big bounce off the 200 EMA, and this thing is just ripping right now. New highs, 118.
Took out those pre-market highs right there. Okay.
So all the other movers we looked at, not looking great. ALUR, this may be trying to find a bottom. We'll have to wait and see. IBO popped above its VWAP, came back in, still trying to recapture it. RNAS, that one's, we already just talked about, that one's doing great. PNBK, this one had a pop up to that trend line that we identified. It didn't quite touch it. It came pretty close. Now we're beneath the 200 EMA, which is not a great sign. This is where support was coming from all morning, and we just lost that level. So a little bit scary there for PNBK. This may go lower if it cannot recapture that 200 EMA, which is at about 136.
This is looking kind of tough too.
Yeah. VVPR, this did lose its VWAP, and the volume is starting to wane off here. But if this can recapture VWAP, it might have some more movement ahead of it. Current high right now is 163. Let's see if we can get it back above VWAP. If it cannot, then I think there'll be more downside ahead.
I've got VWAP here at 139. Does look like the volume's kind of drying up here on VVPR. Mm-hmm. We definitely don't want to see that continue.
CRVO, I think we were looking at this one. It was 16. It came back in under VWAP, recaptured it, and then it rocketed higher to 1694. That's a current high right now.
Guys are saying Boeing, ticker BA, moving here. Indeed, Boeing ripping here out of the gate.
So let's see. What is the...
more orders. Malaysia Aviation Group ordering 60 Boeing 737 MAX airplanes. Looks like it also yesterday, after hours, secured a $100 million Navy contract as well.
Not trying to get morbid or anything, but do you think that kind of speaks to the confidence that Malaysia Aviation has since they lost, I think they had two Boeing MAX planes get lost. I think there's one that was famously lost in the Indian Ocean.
Is that the MH317 or whatever?
I believe so.
I don't think that has anything to do with the Boeing plane, though.
Okay, so I mean,
weren't they kind of tracking that down to the pilot?
I think you're right about that.
I think there was some shady stuff going on with the pilot and some of like the final maneuvers where it banked over where he lived or something like that. I don't know. I don't recall that being pinned on the plane, the famous one that you're talking about.
Yeah, but I thought there were some other ones that also were having, like the MAX 8s were also having problems and one led to a crash. Anyway, don't want to talk about that stuff. It's not very happy. We're getting. And
I think Boeing is responding to the orders this morning, though. I think that's actually legit.
Yeah, I just was kind of speaking on the who the orders are coming from. XHLD says smoked tuna. How's this looking now?
This is just popping here on volume.
145. So that's pretty well extended from its VWAP. Might see a little bit of weakness coming down to the 130s before it takes its next move up.
Laser having a nice day. RGC. We talked about this one.
LEM
up another 30% here today. Sorry, what was that?
LEM coming down was getting mentioned. This one had earnings yesterday, and then their conference call was today. I didn't even see their earnings yesterday because we were waiting for it for so long. It looks like they had beats, top and bottom beats. They are guidance disappoints, but it doesn't seem like that really matters because as we were pointing out earlier, Micron had great earnings, guided great, still down. So it doesn't seem like it matters if you had good earnings or not. Market's saying no, we're all taking the plunge today.
Advance the decliners that Anne-Marie often quotes here. Anne-Marie, if you're still out there, I put that into my broker, minus 1468 right now, way high on the decline side. Yeah, Jay, I was kind of wondering about that too. I actually did see some options coming through here. You were talking about QUBT, right? QBTS popping off of the bottom here as well. Here's QUBT. This did pop here. They reported earnings that were not great. Missed EPS and revenue, but popping here. Don't worry, Jensen said he was wrong, Jay. So
yeah,
maybe that's what's going into it here. Hood getting mentioned. You can take a look here at Hood.
For QUBT,
nice little bounce from Hood, honestly.
for QUBT, I think the gift that it gave yesterday was giving you some pretty clear levels for the upside. So if we continue to move up here, just look to the left and let's see what yesterday was doing. Every time that it had a spike, like that clearly stands out, that's going to be a resistance level for you to watch for the price action today. So the last one that we got into the close here, that was that was a high of what? 763, 762. So there's your first level. The next one is going to be 770, then 787, and 805, and then 837. So those levels that were resistance on the way down that are going to be support on the way up, or resistance on the way up.
That 767 also looked like that was a support, then resistance. And so maybe now it will still be resistance. Jay says Jensen didn't know there were quantum names that were public. Let me ask you guys a question. 13, I'd like your opinion on this too. Do you think that that was a fib, or do you think that's legit?
I think he's a salesman.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I don't think I need to say anything else. I think he's a salesman.
You're right. Here's your RNAS move. Grats if you were trading this guy.
128. Very nice.
Elab slapped down from its VWAP. Micron, which also reported earnings here, went higher, then rolled over. Looks like this is trying to go lower here on Micron. God, boy, we talked about this going to the top end of the range, didn't we?
Well, it's
sure
still
did.
that 200 SMA still providing the resistance. And Lion, I think that's the move. If we're getting some upside, any upside today, sell into that because the market is telling us we're going down. Next week will be a whole new week, and we'll see what it tells us then. But this week, we are going lower. Wow, we are really going low.
Yeah, we sure are.
Gap down, losing some key
and
levels.
Look at FCX. We talked about this recently. We talked about the move in copper recently. Mm-hmm. We talked about the huge options sweep. That looks like that might have totally been a fake out. I'm in those too. Those might expire with us. We'll see. Big, strong rollover from the highs here. We
did have a pretty nice move up in FCX over the course of like a couple, almost 2 weeks. So we did hit the 200 EMA almost exactly, coming down to some of these other ones like the 65 EMA. 39 seems like it could be a pretty good support area. I think we're just getting a little bit of cooling off before the next move. I hope I'm not wrong about that because I am in this one as well. Mm-hmm. But let's just see what happens at that 39.
Jack asking, any way the market goes green? I don't see it. I mean, we're only down here. SPY's only down less than 1%, right? We're down 0.84%. So could it? Sure. I'm not sure what's going to do. I don't see anything in the price action that's telling us that. And I would imagine that once again, like yesterday, we'll probably see a slow afternoon. I know it's a triple witching today, but I still suspect that the afternoon will be fairly dry as a lot of people will be enjoying the basketball tournament. We saw that yesterday.
Yeah, people are probably going to just be done trading for the week, in about 28 minutes anyway. So
that's the 10:30 spot anyway. We've noticed that one too. That's a good stuff. Yeah. That's good stuff.
IBO trying to push into new high territory. Not sure it's going to get it. It's looking at taking out 425. Still has to get there, actually. Yeah, 425 are the highs. So that's what it's trying to move up towards right now.
Smoke Tuna thinks IBO could go crazy. Real quickly here, Celsius, this continuing its move back towards 36. I think Crow had a target of 40 right above this. But this curl here, Celsius, ticker CELH, is actually looking pretty good. Here's that IBO chart. This is above VWAP. Sorry.
No worries. RNAS hit a high of 131. So that is continuing to make new highs here. I'm at short squeeze. IBO pushing through, coming up to 425. Almost got there.
A good call on that dip buy there, Smoke Tuna on IBO. Well done. Just out here getting it done just like usual. Just love to see it. Wiz saying next week should be good. Are you referring to the seasonality? Because that does kind of finish up, if you will, Monday through Wednesday. That 24th through the 26th should finish. That's traditionally weak season. We'll see if we maybe get some strength there at the end of the week.
Look at IBO and draw a trend line from this the pre-market this morning, starting at 513. Draw it through the highs. You can see that is where we are trying to push through right now. This trend line. Yep, there you go.
Very good, man. That trend line's clean too. All of those wicks hit it.
Yep,
it's good stuff.
So this we're going to want to see a breakout. Maybe this runs to around 465 initially, but we want to see this get back up to the pre-market high of 513.
PMBK trying to curl here after that move down. Again, same thing here with the VWAP. Got to get above it. Otherwise, we've got nothing going on. Tesla is beasting. Let me see. I haven't checked in on that in a little bit. Remember, we saw some of those calls right out of the gate. Looks like that did take another leg higher here.
All right. Let's see. Arnaz kind of a little bit of sideways price action. I see that there's some whole groups of sellers at 130 and higher. So needs to take those sellers out if we're going to see more upside. 130, 131, and 135 have the biggest walls. QUBT, new highs. CRVO has fallen beneath its VWAP, but is trying to recapture it.
I think all of those quantum names are doing the same thing. IONQ here also at the highs. You said QUBT, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, QBTS, same deal. I wonder if Rigetti's the same. Looks like all of these quantum, yep, all of these, some of them might still be down from yesterday's close, but all of these are up off the lows near their highs there. A whole lot of them.
Just be careful with those.
APDN, weren't we talking about this one yesterday being a Twitter pump? As it rolls over here today?
Maybe. I don't know. Was that yesterday or was that the day before? I don't remember with that one.
We were talking about this one yesterday.
Okay.
Uber and Amazon Green. Ryan, you never follow me. Did you not see what happened this morning?
Arnaz with a breakout there moved to 135. Looks like VVPR is trying to put in a bottom here. Just got a Mjolnir hammer 5 minutes ago. See if there's a little bit of a turnaround in the price action and take us back up to VWAP.
INOD getting some call action here. INOD at this $41 low. Yeah, this is actually another support area. This $40 level is a support area. This actually, on this 5-minute chart, it does kind of look like we have a head and shoulders going on.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're talking about. And that seems like it may... it looks a little bit different on yours than it does mine, but it seems like we're going to be resolving. This was what time frame? You were looking at a 5-minute?
Yeah.
Okay.
TNXP, this is curling back up. It might be trying to break out from 22. XHLD, this was another one of our movers list. This did move on volume through the VWAP and took out the pre-market highs. Next area here, probably 160, maybe even 150 to 160. We're almost up at that resistance area. SPY here might actually be rolling over a little bit as well.
So Arnaz still squeezing. If this continues to squeeze, I have a resistance area at about 178, 177, 178. We could see the price move up to. And Allure, I think you folks were saying that this thing might be done. Well, it's trying to turn around here. Got it. It has to recapture at 65 EMA and then the VWAP after that. A lot of consolidation there from the pre-market. Also a double top. So don't know about ALUR. PNBK still trying to come back. VVPR. This thing just continues to go down, but it seems to be trying to find a bottom here. Volume not great. RCAT, that popped up to the consolidation from the pre-market and after hours.
Tesla's reversing here, it looks like, seeing puts getting bought now on this move back down. 244 looks to be the level that stopped it there on Tesla. QUBT still going for that 767 level that you discussed. This is actually on its next leg higher. VVPR retraced more than half of its move.
IBO with a ugly pull there beneath VWAP, but not beneath the 65 EMA. So that trend line still providing still a bit of a resistance level. Every time you get up there, it says, no, sir. Not
By
yet.
the way, I'm just seeing this now. I didn't hear him earlier because we were talking to Mark. Fed's Goolsby, it was not a Freudian slip there, was it? Believes rates will be lower 12 to 18 months from now. We started selling off. We started selling off when he was on CNBC delivering his remarks. I think we also have another Fed. Don't we have Williams today a little bit later?
Let's see. What
Pretty sure that we do.
The calendar tells us.
Anyway, while you're looking that up, we started to move down. We actually started to take the leg down in the pre-market when he had said that. Looks like he's just kind of throwing some cold water on the rate cuts.
Williams is supposed to be speaking now, I believe.
Okay. Now, that might be the case. I don't see anything on CNBC.
Or maybe he's already done because he's supposed to be talking.
Waller said reducing the balance sheet is, quote, an important part of normalizing monetary policy.
I think I was getting asked about ALUR. Oh, yeah, Diamond Hotline. Is it trying to reverse? It looks like it's trying to, but until it recaptures some of these levels, I still not convicted that on this coming back up over VWAP. It easily recaptured the 65 EMA first, so that's about at 357.
Arnaz still ripping, dude.
Wow,
another move higher here on Arnaz.
That must be the one today. So let's see, is it coming up to that level I was mentioning earlier? Almost there. 180. The 15 EMA on the daily chart. 180. That's where we could go. And I see that there's a pretty good amount of sellers at 172. We might see a slowdown ahead of that level. And what else? So IBO beneath its VWAP. Arnaz 153 is the high. Doesn't look like that's finished yet.
FCX puts getting bought now. So not only is this move getting completely reversed, but now we're seeing put flow. Boy, what a head fake that humongous 1.7 million order on Freeport was.
Oh,
that was nasty. That was I am almost starting to wonder if those were sold.
Could be. Let's see, CRVO. This one trying to get support. I don't like the way the MACD looks. This thing looks like it could still go lower. Has work to do. Needs better volume. Needs to recapture VWAP. Lots of stuff just not following through here. XHLD. This looks like it might try and go here.
Arnaz 155. Chat member here, Ned. Ned, next wall for Arnaz 174. Smoke Tuna called it. Arnaz to watch 1 mil volume while at its dip. So you're saying it traded 1 million shares on the dip, and that was the ad here?
Yeah, XHLD is trying to take out that 149. It looks like it just did. Not sure if we're going to keep going here, but it's trying to push up. There we go. Now we're starting to get some price action.
Okay. So I'm going to take a quick look at some of the earnings from last night here. FedEx continuing to move lower here.
Boeing had about 15
Nike
minutes
lower.
Where we were selling off and lost VWAP, but it's getting a bit of a bounce here from the pre-market consolidation, looking to recapture VWAP.
Amazon green, Gratz Izzy. Walmart, not quite. You were mentioning you were trading Uber earlier also. Uber about actually right there where we just watched it go red green there on Uber.
Nvidia down.
It's interesting. Some of these individual names are doing all right, bouncing, but you look at the indexes, it doesn't really look like that. Yeah, they're up off the low. I guess we'll call them the Goolsby lows, but they're not really making a huge move. Netflix, kind of the same deal here. This was lower, bounced right back down.
Nvidia lost 117. That's a level I've had marked off for a while. Next one down that it needs to hold. If it's going to reverse, it's going to be 113. Boeing with a nice bounce off the 65 EMA, trying to recapture VWAP here. Really nice move.
I tell you what, NVIDIA really kind of stalling at the center point of that channel that we've been looking at for all of this year and into last year. I think NVIDIA probably resolves lower towards the $100 area.
IBO, an IPO?
I
don't think it is. Let's see here. How much price action? Oh, you know what? It probably is. Since September of last year. It was an IPO of September of last year, is what I can tell here. Looks like it's trying.
More INOD calls getting bought here as that continues to move lower.
IBO is trying to recapture its VWAP. If it does, and it did, it looks like it may try for that trend line again, that one that's been providing resistance all morning.
Here you go. Just recaptured VWAP as we speak. Smoke Tuna saying it's not done.
Right.
Carmen, NVIDIA is the one I'm waiting to buy more of. Carmen, what's your buy spot on NVIDIA out of curiosity? What were you saying, 13? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to run you over.
Well, with IBO, I want to see the break of this trend. This trend
Sure.
that it's been putting in since 4:15 this morning. We could really sail if we take that trend line out. All right. In the meantime, RNAS continues. Well, actually, RNAS is starting to put in a series of upper shadows here. That's a little concerning. How much time do we have left in this game? About 3.5 minutes.
All these quantum names still bouncing too.
That's fantastic.
Izzy says 100 for NVIDIA. Lion says 108. Carmen says as close to 100 as possible. You know, honestly, that round number makes a ton of sense to me. Almost to the point where I'm like, it almost makes too much sense. First of all, we tested this area and we tested 105 here. The trend line lines up with that. The channel, I should say, I guess it's the bottom end trend line, lines up with that. The round number, this was a previous area of resistance, the 100 level previous area of resistance and support. That 100 level is definitely screaming.
You know, it's funny. The $100 handle has only 3 days of entire history that it's actually ever been interacted with. When we moved up initially, we gapped up over that level. We came down during the yen carry trade, and that's when we actually had some price interaction. And since then, nothing. There's been very little price interaction with 100.
But I mean, even the gapping around it, look, this doesn't mean anything to you. This move up on March 7th, or excuse me, March 8th. This thing went to what, 97.50, I guess. Okay.
Well, I don't understand the question.
So the question here is NVIDIA is clearly on a move higher, gets close to 100, but doesn't print it like you were saying, comes off, tries to go up to 100 again, doesn't quite print it, comes off again. And then when it does get back to 100, it actually gaps above it.
Yeah.
So it just, to me, that's still significant, even though it didn't actually print.
Yeah, I think that's significant too.
Okay.
We can see it gap down right through it.
Now
there's very little.
Now you're talking. Now you're talking here, because that kind of lines up with how I'm thinking about how the $100 level just kind of jumps off the page for a number of reasons. I think you might be spot on with that. I think you might actually get a gap down beneath that when we get closer to that. I wouldn't be terribly shocked. And I wonder what all those good till cancel orders that are out there around 100 end up doing to it. That's kind of what the process that I'm thinking through there. $110 area, Captain Cloudy.
There's going to be all kinds of different areas to we can potentially pick this up. I personally would like to see this under 100, but I don't know if I'll get that.
Yeah, 84. We talked about that on Happy Hour. 84. That 500-day moving average would be ideal for that.
Because even the lower end of the channel that you have there is still above 100.
Yeah, by the time this resolves down here, though, in fact, let me see if I can extend this 13. We'll get some more. I just don't want to ruin what I had here. I want to keep the same trajectories. There we go. So by the time it rolls down here, I think maybe we do overshoot that. And that would be great for a potential bounce play, wouldn't it? Like if we overshoot that and we go right to the bottom of the channel.
Could be good.
I almost think that I'd be enticed to try that for a bounce.
IBO, by the way, coming back up to that trend line again. If this can't break above it for the on this third visit up here, then this could pull again, and it may not come back. So I'll be very careful with this one here. It needs to break through, or else I think we're coming back underneath VWAP.
It's all going to be about that trend line. Zim, seeing some calls getting bought here on Zim. This has not been great recently. I don't know if I can infer anything from that option print. Let's see what else we got going on here.
Yeah, Zim. I don't. Let's see what happens at what is this 1736? If it gets down to there, because we already got support from that area once back on last Friday. So if it gets down there again, that could be an area where we lose support. But if it reverses from this area, we might be able to go through this trend line here that you can draw from the 20th of November through.
Sorry, let me go to that here, but real quick, XHLD, it looks like this is testing 150 and maybe those intraday highs there. Okay, sorry, 13. Are you on IBO still?
I was talking about Zim, but yeah, we can go back to IBO.
No. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep up with you. I'm just really struggling today. I'm having an off day. I'm sorry, man.
Hey, don't worry, man. It's the weekend, so we can
not yet.
Say F it Friday,
Not yet. It's not. So here, did you want me to draw a trend line here on Zim?
Oh, I was just mentioning. Yeah, if you want, you can just put a trend line on there from November 20th. Draw it through February 26th. That's the trend line I think we need to break through. But
February 26th, right in there. Yep. Perfect. There you go.
That's I think the trend we need to break for to see more upside. Allure this thing down to the 200 EMA. So let's see if we get some support and maybe a reversal off of that. ALUR not looking great this morning. IBO still trying to break through that VWAP. I'm sorry, not VWAP, the trend line. Hasn't been able to do it yet. PNBK, this is not looking great. I don't think there's anything really here with PNBK. If there is, it's going to have to recapture the 200 EMA first. Let's see what else. CRVO trying to come back up to VWAP. Volume's not great. I don't know what we're going to get out of this. XHLD just popped up to a new high of day, 169.
Right through that 150 and the high of days that I had flagged right before we switched off this ticker.
Excellent. I am almost tempted to see where this goes, and if it does go,
go ahead. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Maybe $2 is the next spot for XHLD. Okay, go ahead.
I was going to completely change the subject. So your $2 here. This is going to be what your after hours high back from Wednesday.
Well, not only that. I didn't look at the after hours, but I'm looking at the daily chart, and back in February, we came down to $2. That was initially support. Once we lost it, it was resistance. for a few days. Has not been able to recapture that. So $2 is a pretty interesting level to me.
You know what, 13? That's even more. That makes what happened in the after hours on Wednesday even more interesting. Went right to that same spot. This is like what Mark talks about all the time. That's exactly what we're seeing here. There you go. That $2 level. Yeah, I'm with you on that. That's definitely probably one of the next spots here.
IBO testing that trend line, trying to get through it. If we break this, we might see some fireworks.
Here we go. Okay, I'm going to leave this on here. The question that I was going to ask you guys earlier. Hey, what's going on, Mike? Jay, Mike's here. No, you're asking for him earlier.
Bring on the must trash talk. We're ready for
it. Good morning, Mike. It's great to see you here. So what I was going to ask, and I wanted to get the group's opinion, yours as well, by the way. What do you guys think of this DoorDash partnering with Klarna to buy food now and pay for food you eat now later? Does anyone have? I mean,
that was awful with IBO. It popped over the trend line and came right back into VWAP.
Peaked above and then pulled right to VWAP?
Yeah, it was a very quick move, too. Dirty move.
Mike, it's okay, Ryan. We get basketball in a few. Come over and have some Fallujah. I probably pronounced that wrong, but
I saw some of those memes that you had there in Slack earlier. That was pretty funny.
That was my opener, by the way. That was my opener. My opener was, if you've ever started your day with hilarious memes from your producer, big shout out to Michael for getting those ready here. I know I had all this internet trouble. Oh my God, look at IBO.
IBO. Yep.
Tuna.
Great job.
He had said emphatically that this wasn't done. Emphatically.
Mm-hmm. Broke that trend line.
Right into a 485 halt here. This is going to halt, is it not? Yep, halted.
Yep. That was a good one. I was watching that the whole time.
Okay, so Izzy, in all caps, literally yelling at us that the idea is garbage. Garbage idea, Klarna. I was laughing so hard at those Dash memes yesterday. I totally get it. Look, we talk 13, you and I, on not only this show, but also on Happy Hour, we have discussed a number of times how concerning some of the buy now, pay later stuff is.
Oh, yeah.
This was amplified. When I saw this headline about, like, if you're financing your meals, that is we are in bad shape. I can only think that something, I'm not trying to scare people too. That's like the other thing. I rail against, fear and stuff like that. But man, oh man, people financing fast food orders just seems like that is a recipe for disaster.
And I get that, there's an argument of, well, we already use credit cards to do that, but it's not the same thing.
Not even remotely close.
No. They're not the same kind of financing.
Not a good idea to eat food first and then pay for it later. What happens if you don't like it? LOL. Oh man, yeah.
And what's that zero interest all about anyway? I mean, is this like for a period of time? Is that going to be for the entirety of this food loan? I would need some more clarity on that, because yeah, sure, zero interest sounds great, but is that going to be always the case? Is that going to be how it's going to be for all food purchases? I doubt it.
So that's actually a good point to bring up. And the thing, so the zero interest thing. So I was just telling you how I replaced my phone, and because I financed it through I always end up financing the new phone, just pay for it every month. But this is the first time that I'm not paying Verizon, because I got a deal directly from the manufacturer that was actually cheaper than the deal from Verizon. So despite getting the new phone, my bill went down.
XHLD.
But I'm now an Affirm customer because of this, and it is no interest. And I did the calculations just to make sure there was nothing hidden in there. Like, my monthly payment adds up to exactly what the price of the phone was. There's no interest in there. And I wonder the same thing. What is going to happen? When is there going to be interest in some of these payments? Where are they actually making their money?
Yeah. XHLD, by the way, also broke out.
Klarna, like medical bills, no interest.
Well, I mean, that's not financed either. It's like a deal. I mean, maybe I'm wrong about this because I don't know how medical billing really works, but my understanding is that these are deals you're making with like the hospital or the private practice to pay off your bill. You're not financing it. It's my understanding, because there's no interest attached to it. There's no term. They just say, well, can you make this type of payments? And then that tends to be the situation. So it's really, I don't think that's the same thing. You can't really compare it to medical bills. Still a bill, sure. I get you.
RGC, you guys are mentioning that this is blasting off this is basically moved $3. If you look at the candles, it looks fairly normal. The reality is this has moved $3 here. This RGC has just been crazy. Don't trust it though. IBR still halted. RNAS, what are we doing with RNAS? RNAS coming back in maybe to the VWAP there?
Almost. I mean, the MACD is starting to indicate some curling here, and those upper shadows that I was getting concerned about may be telling you the story here. If we do lose VWAP, then I'd be looking at the 415 level as support. That was the resistance earlier this morning prior to the breakout, so now it's support. CRVO, this thing after going up to 1694 has also been really coming back in after losing VWAP, getting support from the 65 EMA at the moment.
I'll be honest here. I don't know much, but on CRVO, it definitely feels like this is totally overshot. Again, this is just a couple of sessions ago. This thing was $2.
Let's see, how long ago was that halt in IBO?
That was at 10:25:57.
Okay, we're almost. We might unhalt then pretty soon.
20 seconds.
Might unhalt with that one.
Izzy, Ryan, get ready to reload Amazon if it gets pounded. Take a look at that. What price are you looking at? Or are you just looking at like action, like price action? You got a level for that? Let me know.
And there's IBO open. A little bit of a higher print, 497, 499. And wow, look at that jump.
I tell you what, that trend line was the money call there. As soon as it went above that, it really started to juice.
The trend line, smoke tuna's mention on this thing.
Blessing. The smoke tuna blessing. What else could you ask for? 194 is the okay, marked. And actually, you know what I should do, Izzy? I should get my laptop on a non-Comcast internet. Let me use my phone to set up a hotspot here real quick. Then we'll get my laptop on it. That way we'll have a backup ready in case my internet dies again. Oh. Well, how about that?
What's that?
I just got a text message from Comcast that the underground cable line that was supposed to be replaced in November was finally installed this morning. I think we figured out what my outage was from.
Okay, well,
nice of them to tell me. Nice of them to be 3 months late and tell me. I am so glad. I am so glad I did not fat finger or F up a trade from that. I would be out there yelling at the guys, which is just totally unfair. Okay, let's see if I get some better internet performance after this line has been replaced. That's actually pretty funny. Judge, I'm glad you found that funny too. I literally went to go set my wireless hotspot for a backup, and I get a notification that they fixed my internet line finally. Wow. Amazon. They watching you. Fairchild, maybe they are. I got bigger problems if Comcast is watching me. Oh, man. All right. Well, fingers crossed for better performance. Glass half full, fingers crossed for better performance. Market seems to be turning up here too. So you know what? We're just going to ride the positivity train for the rest of the day here.
Yeah, Amazon, somewhere between this 195 and 196. This seems to be a pretty interesting level here. And you've got the high from September 24th and the low from November 21st that are kind of keeping the price, in a bit of a sideways area here, providing resistance and support on both of those. So until we get move away in some direction from the 195 to 196 area in Amazon, probably going to continue to see this sideways price action. It seems like it's going to they continue to close around that area. I would like to see this go under 190 though. I think I would add to my position if it did.
Here, so I'm going to try the same thing that Mark was just kind of looking at, but just maybe in reverse here a little bit. We had taken a look at God. Now I'm forgetting his stock of the day. Mosaic. Yeah, right. Mosaic. We're looking at this uptrend here, and he had a target above. Well, it almost looks like we're doing kind of the opposite thing here on Amazon, right? We got this downtrend here. Let's see if we can actually break this. Weren't you saying 200 was really? I know that was the Bezos wall from before, so that 200 level is likely going to be important again. Maybe we can actually cross this, close above this trend line, break the current downtrend that we're in and that we have been in since the beginning of February. Get above that 200. That would actually be pretty bullish here for Amazon, I feel like.
You know, the lows that we put in with Amazon, you also have an interesting candle here. Now, you can, you know, argue about exactly what kind of candle this is, whether it be a hammer or a dragonfly doji, but the fact that it did print the most recent lows, and it has this this look of a bit of a reversal candle, and no matter what you want to call it, that could be an indication that this is trying to turn back up. Now, I don't want to say that this is the bottom from here, because we did get a very similar candle earlier this year on February 25th. That was, in my opinion, a pretty clear reversal candle. And the price did start to come back up. But the second day into that, we knifed right beneath the close of that candle that I'm referring to. So if you're looking at an Amazon daily chart and you look at February 25th, that's what I'm referring to. So yeah, they can be reversal candles, but you need, you know, the following price action needs to follow through with that. So far, those
here's the candle that you're talking about right in here.
Yes, sir. That's the one.
That was good. That was a good discussion from the entire group earlier. Sweet one, Brandy, you, Mark. That was good.
So, folks are saying Arnaz is done. I mean, possibly. It's still holding VWAP. So I think for me, if it's got to do several things. It needs to lose VWAP, number one. Number two is it needs to not find support at 115. And then it needs to, you know, go back under $1. I think it needs to have those three things happen in that order for me to actually want to call this done for the day. It's like, right now it's trying to turn around. And, I don't think it's going to make new highs. I mean, it could, but I don't think it will. I think this may just be a dead cat bounce. The volume's just not there, so that's why I'm not thinking this could go back to 156. But I do want to see those things happen on the way down.
IBO here, right at this $5 level. This is an important level here for IBO.
Huge reversal on Disney, says Izzy. That's probably because the Snow White movie sucks.
Snow woke, more like.
Oh man, that's just an awful looking bear flag, and now it seems to be resolving. And you have this shooting star. Well, I guess it's got a little bit of a thick body, but you could say it's a shooting star candle that we got on the 19th of March. That's a pretty good indicator of some downside here. The price is trying to reverse off of the 500-day SMA, but we are still we're still beneath some of the highs here. And I don't know that we're going to get back to 100, at least not today.
This kind of looks like it's in the process of rolling over, right from where it's at. Wonder if we retest these, 96 lows? 96?
You want to draw a really long-term trend line, because that's kind of what I'm looking at here for where the price action in Disney's headed. You'd have to start with March, the highs in March of 2021.
Okay, so right here.
Yeah, and just draw it through the highs of September 2021, and just keep it going. You'll notice that you even draw it through the high of April 2024.
There
you go. And now
there you go. God, you're right.
And we broke out above it in a gap up, and that was support for a time. And then as we've been coming down, I think that was the breakout on the that activist. Remember that whole ordeal with the activist taking over the Disney board?
Yeah, and that's what that huge volume is for. Take care of yourself, Judge.
Take care, Judge. And then since then it's just been trying to go higher, trying to break the one into 119. Wasn't able to do it, and now we're right back beneath that trend line that I just had you draw. So that trend line I think is going to continue to provide support and resistance depending on the price action. Right now it's underneath it, so I would think that resistance is going to be the name of the game for that trend line right now.
DeAndre asking about Snowflake. That's a chart that I feel like we haven't looked. I know we're talking about Snow White here, but Snowflake stock. This is a chart that we actually haven't looked at in some time. But we got a couple of things going on here. First thing that jumps off take care of yourself, Hellcat. Good stuff this week. The first thing that jumps off here is going to be the trend line here. 13, I'm almost certain we drew this here together. This goes all the way back to November 21st as well. And this runs through the area in February of 2024. We're actually using that same area now as resistance? Looks like we're butting right up against this. The other thing here is that this recently kind of fell out of this area. We had this huge gap. We're starting to make lower lows now. I'll be honest with you. I think over the next couple of weeks here, your next spot here is 140, 141. The 200-day, I think, gets tested here, maybe even more so with the trend line here. I think Snowflake rolls over.
Yeah, that looks like it's got a bear flag formation. The trend line is keeping the price from going higher. You also have the 500-day SMA there that's suppressing it. Suppressing the bullish activity. Yep. A lot of different indicators telling you that this thing is looking like it's going to go at least down to the 200.
Now, if it did go down to the 200, you'd actually have, I guess you'd have a higher low here. Yeah. We'll see if it turns around at the 200 here, you'd have a higher low. We'll see though how it interacts with all that stuff. A lot of stuff going on here in Snowflake with where it's at right now. Pretty Panda, enjoy your weekend, lads. He said lads. Awesome.
So
Pretty Panda.
Meanwhile, we've got RNAS that really did turn around. Still trying to come back up. Don't think we're going to get back above 156, but it's still barreling towards that price. So we'll see. IBO has not cooled off yet, but we are starting to get some upper shadows placed here. The high is 186.
Real quick on RNAS, I happen to have a weekly chart, and I noticed this. And this is I like to call this the death spiral, right? I'm willing to bet that this thing had a whole bunch of reverse splits: a 1 for 33, a 1 for 40, and a 1 for 20. Looks like just careful with RNAS. This is again just to gonna reiterate that this is a short-term trading vehicle only.
Yep. All right. Well, it's still pushing up. It almost got to 150. There is a large wall of sellers at 150. So if the volume expands and takes it out, we could see 156. Don't know.
Florida Yacht Insurance Guy. Good morning, y'all. Good morning to you.
IBO new highs. I gotta stop messing around. Where is this thing gonna go? Oh, $6 now.
Yes, Izzy mentioned wait for 194 on Amazon for a potential trade here. Look at that. You got right down to 194. We actually still have that trend line here.
All right, I'll be honest. I have no idea where IBO goes. This thing is just on fire.
Izzy, by the way, on Amazon here, I've got that VWAP at 193.54. So maybe it overshoots that 194 for a little bit, but 193.54 might be where it turns around there.
RCAT having a really good morning. That's continuing to put in new session highs.
So we looked at that earlier, and nothing. When Rustam brought this up, nothing was happening. And now, looks like we're starting to get some volume in there. Rustam, are you trading this right now? Are you enticing people into this?
I think I was asked about levels for SPY earlier. I haven't provided those yet. Let me get you some.
Christoph, take care of yourself.
Take care, Christoph.
Anil, take care of yourself. Have a great weekend. Gary reminding us he used to trade RNAS when the price was around $10. That reminds me of Watt, W-A-T-T. Izzy, that Amazon 194 bounce spot, that looks pretty crispy so far. God, it looks like it got down to what, 194.10 and bounced off that?
So for SPY, my levels that I have here, I've got 561 and 559. But when I look at the price action today, it seems like 558 was the support area that handle has provided a reversal. So I would also kind of mark off 558 as well. But beneath that, 555 is the next strong support level I have. So those are a few areas that you could take a look at. If we continue to trade up to 561, I think we might see some resistance there.
Amazon bouncing here. Izzy, that was a really good. I know you're only off by 10 cents there on a $200 stock, but that's well done. Obviously not filled on that as we're looking for 194 even, but looking pretty good there, at least on that bounce so far. SPY here, this 560 and change, 560 and a quarter looks to be the spot to get over. If we can do that here today. The other thing is that this action here after this down move, this is so far so good. Higher lows again here on the 5-minute on the intraday chart. DeAndre, did you cover Snowflake? Yes. Did you not? Did you ask for it and then walk away? We did cover Snowflake. You remember Watt, Gary? You remember? See, I'm not the only person that remembers that. What is Watt now? 30 cents?
Boeing popped up to a new intra-session high of 175.77. Let me look at the daily chart and see where this is going here. I've got all kinds of spaghetti drawings. Let me just see what this is telling me.
Izzy, your Amazon's rolling over now. 194 coming in here. 194, 193.50.
188.50 is still a really interesting level in Boeing. I bet the 500-day SMA gets down there, or gets pretty close, so that when the price comes up to about 188.50, you're going to have that resistance level and the 500-day SMA right in that same area. So I don't know that we'll break out of that, but we could see some some rejection, because we've been coming up off of a low, and we may get a little extended by the time we get up to 188.50. Market will pull it down. Amazon, wait to see NASDAQ. Hey, that's fine. Works for me. Master DSS went up to 140.
Being patient is like the key that I have going on right now. Like that is in pretty much all the stuff that I'm doing here. I'm trying to be as patient as possible. Here's your RNAS chart. Looks like we're going for some new highs as we speak.
Really?
Fairchild say Gerber is talking about Elon and CNBC. Is his upper lip sweating? That's how you know when he's really into it.
Oh, there's that one. Oh, wow. We just broke out of that 156 area. So I guess we are going to see higher prints.
There it goes. Do we yank right back down to the VWAP? Oh, it's trying to push higher.
I'm looking at the DSS for I'm sorry, what was his name? Who was asking about it?
I think it was Mesroor. Yeah. Kevin, thank you. Thank you for all your support and all of your news posts this week. Have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. We're going to catch you next week. Take care, Kev. Amazon might be bouncing, Izzy. You're going to have me watching this chart every day now. And then when I start watching that, you're going to be like, look at Uber.
So, as far as DSS goes, there's some levels in the way here from it getting to 140. You have the 200-day SMA at 121. It hasn't ever really been over that since 2023. There would have to be some pretty significant news or some kind of headline that takes it over there. I see that they've announced a sale for 1.15 million in an equity transaction. So I don't think that that's really going to do a whole lot for them. I really don't know that we get up there. There would have to be some other piece of news, and I don't know what news could be coming. I'd have to know more about this company. But if I'm looking at it from a technical standpoint, I think that 200-day SMA is going to be a big problem for you.
Fairchild said those guys should get in the ring sometime. Ross and Elon, that would be entertaining. I'd be interested in that.
I'm still disappointed that I didn't get my Zuckerberg must fight.
Yeah, me too. I low key, I'm disappointed in that too, to be quite honest with you. I don't really care who wins that fight. It would just be entertaining for me. Real quickly here, Growl, we talked about this one when this really made just a humongous move up above 60. This has been cut in half already. My question here is, we don't really have like a well-defined head and shoulders here. We just kind of have like an impulse move and a move back down here. Does anyone think that this spot here in the high 20s handle is viable for a potential bounce? The technology here is supposed to be great.
Well, let's see what we got here.
It's cancer detection. And I feel like we talked about this in happy hour, is this kind of being like one of the new themes here. Especially, you could even fold this into the Make America Healthy Again type of thing, making sure you're getting screened for cancer and all of that, cancer detection, the whole 9 yards. Does anyone think that this is actually a pretty decent entry point after really coming in off those highs?
Well,
bring back the celebrity death matches. Big B's, dude. I'm not going to lie. I would watch some of those. Mazrur 13 and Ryan, you guys are awesome. You're awesome. You're awesome for coming here and hanging out.
With Growl, I see that they're not losing as much as they used to, losing as much money, but they're not profitable, and that's a big issue for me if I'm going to go along with this.
Especially now, right?
Yeah.
Especially in the environment that we're in now. That's fair.
Yeah, so I really can't give an opinion on whether or not this is a good entry spot. It could be, but we are beneath the 20 and 50-day SMA. We did find some support around 26 and a half, but they're still losing money. I really don't know if it continues to hold 26 and a half, then maybe this is there could be a good trade here, but I just don't know.
XIII getting mentioned here. Maybe we're going back to the highs. Now, the last time we had a setup similar to this, it was right in here, and 150 was the spot. This spot looks like 180.
Yeah, 180 does look like the spot. Maybe slightly higher, maybe around somewhere between 180 and 185. XHLD, that's what we're looking at. ALUR, that looks like it's going lower.
Yo, Rich Tech Robotics again off this 203.
Ugh, look at PNBK. This thing is continuing to get hammered.
And 3 days in a row, RR bounced off that level there. PNBK, you said?
Yeah. This thing's probably just going right back to start.
Jay's old stomping grounds.
BBPR, this one was, I think you mentioned earlier, this one may be finding a bottom here at $1 or near $1, trying to turn back up. VWAP is at 134. RCAT with a little bit of selling after this nice move.
TNXP new highs. Oost. We had a trader in here that traded Oost quite often. Sally, I think, if I recall correctly. Yeah, it was right in here, right? It was in last year. Yeah. And actually now we have some higher lows here too on Oost. Company reported better than expected Q4 financial results. Is your reason that that's moving? NAC, I see NAC on here. Someone asked you about this one earlier, right?
Yeah.
Northern Dynasty Minerals, this penny stock.
Yeah. So I was getting asked about, I think, levels for that one.
While you're looking that up, real quick, Mike here saying, well, looks like we're pinned for the day, LOL. So, Mike, I don't want to assume here, so I'm just going to ask you, you mean pinned like in the regular market here? And I'm asking because do you tie that to the tournament? Because I've been saying for the past couple of days that I've noticed that the volume really kind of dies off when the basketball tournament is going on, especially that Thursday and Friday. Are you factoring that into to us being pinned here? No wrong answers. I'm just wondering, looking to lean on your experience, as they say.
Well, it looks like XHLD is trying to go. What is it? Go for 2? Where we're headed?
Yeah, I gotta say, tuna. You came back here with a vengeance, like Die Hard. I mean, you just came back giving out calls. They were crispy. They were right on it. We're gonna need more of that. We're gonna need more of the tuna calls here on a regular basis. You have been excellent here today.
Yeah, give us some more IBOs.
Yeah, that IBO was called perfectly. There were multiple calls in that IBO trade that was called perfectly there. And he hit XHLD, I think, twice.
Is IBO coming back again? We starting to push up through these upper shadows. 617 is the high today. Looks like it's trying to make another move here. And that looks like maybe not. Boeing new highs again. Looks like some of the selling in SDX might be done, but positive.
Yeah, I was going to say some of these things that were getting pounded earlier. You're right, 13. Some of these things that were getting pounded earlier may be starting to grind back here. FCX, that's one of them. Some of the other names here, like Apple was lower, Netflix are lower. Those bounced pretty quickly. Amazon, by the way, right there at 140. Izzy, Bitcoin here holding right around 84,000. VIX is down here at 2022. Goldman Sachs was another one that was selling off early. This has kind of come back. So some of these names have really come back, and we saw that too in some of the movers too. Some of the smaller movers.
Just watch the volume, because if they're moving up. I see the SPY as a whole is moving up, but if the volume's not, it seems like it's moving up on pretty low volume.
Yeah.
It could be the same thing that we saw yesterday, where all of a sudden you get the selling volume to come in, and it's much more volume than it was the buying volume, and it just pulls these things down. We could end up having another day like yesterday. We just create this large upper shadow from all the sellers stepping in after the bulls push the market up. Just don't give us IBS.
Yeah, Crocodile Dummy's got the jokes, man.
Yeah, but we're trading IBO, not CMG.
That's pretty funny too. Here's SMCI up near the highs. 13. I'm going to step away for just 1 sec here before we go over to Anne Marie. All right.
Sounds good. Looking forward to having her on. IBO is still going sideways. RNAS trying to push up to another new high. 164 is the current high that we have here. Looks like it wants to get over 160 and try for 170. We'll see if we get that there. CRVO still hanging in there, but maybe it's trying to curl up. We'll see. Boeing just continues to rip. This is a really good day for Boeing. ALUR still getting that support from the 200 EMA. Not sure if this is going to come back up or not. What do you think? I think RNAS is going for the new high day. Oh, it's getting slapped down there. Seller just came in and started walking the price down a little bit to 157. Still like these levels here for SPY. 559 and 561. I feel like that's kind of going to be the range that we may be trapped in here for a little bit. Would like to see a much better move in the market so that I can play these SQQQ and TQQQ names.
I think if we're going to get pinned volume wise here and we're kind of done for the day, I don't know if we're going to get any trades in those today, but we'll see if I'm going to be going back to that well next week. That's for sure.
All right, that's going for the high. I already looked at that. IBO, it looks like it's still trying to push up, but it seems like from those candles we were getting earlier, the sellers are right at about in the 580s to 6 area.
So we pretty much turned around at 10:30 on the SPY, didn't we? Is that Europe closing? Are we trading up now because Europe is closed? Anyone think that's the case?
Possibly. Oh, we just broke through 561 on the SPY. We are in the consolidation from pre-market. That consolidation goes up to 563.09.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Where are we at here? Oh, gosh. We are 30 seconds away from Anne-Marie. 13. Let's get some closing words here for the group. What do you got for us? First of all, I'm going to start. Thank you for holding down the fort while my internet company decided to replace my access to the internet without telling me. Really kind of freaking me out. But I appreciate you, man. Thanks for all the help.
Hey, no problem. I just went into let's do this on my own mode. And that was just fine. We got a lot of fun action from the market and from our chat. Chat, you've been wonderful this week. Have a good time with Anne-Marie. We'll be back at this next week. Hopefully, we'll get some more price action and not just have to rely on directional ETFs. So we'll see what we get then. Take care, folks. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, and hit the like for 13 on the way out. We appreciate him. 13, enjoy your weekend. We'll catch you next week, boss. 13's departure. And I'm just going to reiterate here. Chat, you guys have really been awesome. You guys have been consistently awesome here. We're lucky for the group that we have. There's no doubt about it. All right, 13's departure leaves room for Anne-Marie. Let's say hi. Anne-Marie, hello. Happy Friday. How are you doing today?
I am doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Doing a lot better now. I don't know if you caught that earlier, but man, I just disappeared, got deleted. The internet company was replacing my internet line without telling me. But now that I know what's going on, I feel a lot better. What do you got for us today?
Well, I want to answer the question about how we could tell that the market was going to bounce. And it's from our handy dandy advancers to decliners. I want to show you what happened on, let's look at a 1 minute chart and we'll see what happened. We opened at very close to the low in terms of advancers to decliners. It was like negative 1600, negative 1700, and it started basing and then all of a sudden it starts running right back up. And that's what we're looking at right now. If my chart would load, again, still sorts.
Yeah, and you're saying that this only happens when you're on with me?
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
It might be a restream thing. Maybe, what do you think about me using another browser and getting back in? Just popping out and popping back in.
Yeah, that might work.
All right, let's
that might. Do you want to try that? Here, give me a sec here. I'll do that when you get back. I'm trying to do too many things at once here, Anne-Marie. Right. I just got to stop doing that. That's my fault. Okay, let me go ahead and share my. Let me just go ahead and share my screen. Go ahead, try it on a different browser. We'll see if that works. When you get back here, I'll ask Aaron if he's got any ideas on that. All right. We guess we can keep looking at what's going on here. We'll just take a peek at the scanner. It is worth noting here, S&P futures are continuing to trade higher here. So too are the NASDAQ and the Dow. Let's do a quick look at some of the movers that we were looking at. RNAS might be done here. XHLD still think that 180 levels key. Someone asked about this being a bull flag. Let me see if I can find that there. Oh, and by the way, thank you, folks. So London is still open for another 1.5 hours. Jacob, you said it was closing in 1 minute. Maybe that was part of it. Maybe not. I was just wondering. Tyler, you were asking here, Oost bull flag forming. Yeah, sure looks like it, right? Especially on the 5 minute here, it has this nice little impulse move higher, kind of consolidating. This does to me look like this wants to try and test higher here. If we look at the daily, I think probably 1150. This spot goes all the way back to, I guess that's not all that far, but this goes back to 2024. Let's see, there was right in here, probably actually goes back to 2022 a little bit. Looks like this was a consolidation area in 2022. So yeah, this definitely feels like a bull flag here. I think as long as we stay above the VWAP, Tyler, we're probably in good shape for maybe moving above these highs and going higher here today. All right, let's see. Anne-Marie's back. Let's give it a shot. You can hear us, right?
I can.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I heard the mouse pick. I just want to make sure. Just want to make sure. Izzy, there is that nice $1 bounce there on Amazon. That was a really good call. You gave that to us in real time.
All right. So what I wanted to show you was what was happening with advancers to decliners. As soon as we opened up in the morning, this little dip down here, this was our open at around at about negative 1550. It dipped down, and right around that time you said, hey, did the SPY turn around at 1015? The advancers to decliners began to bounce. So my thought was, I'm just going to buy every dip I can find on a 5-minute chart into resistance. And then when our president begins to speak, I will pull my orders. And so, yes, it continues to be just a great indicator of what we expect price action to do when it starts moving. And this level down here at negative 1800 is one of the lower levels. It very rarely goes lower unless we're in free fall. And so that told me, hey, listen, I have a nice run up off the lows into near-term resistance, but we are pretty much selling a lot of bounces. So we could do a couple of things today. I thought about going over Amazon, FCX, Goldman, and then since a lot of folks or someone was talking about nat gas for quite a bit, I thought I would pick up the Boyle chart and tell you what we were looking at, because those options are so sweet.
Okay, let's do that. And if we don't have any good option chains for some of those, looks like Snowflake would be another one that we could take a look at.
Okay, so
great.
I sent a note after you said, hey, listen, take a look at the chains coming in on FCX. My thought was, well, why don't we run into that trade and follow that big money, but put ourselves in a space where we're hedged rather than going out right. So let's go to the Analyze tab here. And I purchased this yesterday. I put it in the Benzinga Pro chat for Anne-Marie Trays. It's the 16th of May expiry, this May. 45.55.60. So it's got $10 on the upside, $5 on the downside. I got it for 90 cents. Today, it's much cheaper, but I am continuing to hold it to see what might go on in the space. And if they put some new strikes out, I may sell that 60 and open up a 65. That gives me a little bit more room, but that is down a fair bit. And if you want to come in after the fact, it's not looking bad, right?
No, and in fact, it did. So full disclosure, I am not in the butterfly that you had sent. I was already in just the solo calls, so I opted not to double dip there. However, today, as it came back in, as I thought it might, I was actually adding a little bit to those calls at lower prices here, and it does look like it's kind of stabilized here. So maybe we did put in a near-term bottom after a move higher, and that could set up for the next move. We'll see.
Exactly. And you can look over here at the monthly chart, and you can see that the wicks at the bottom got very short, and then we sort of flushed the weak hands long, and now we are up into the body of this candlestick that occurred in December. My thought is that 45 is going to be the next step up, but it could be a little bit noisy, because here's something that's super interesting. And let me see if my charts will obey me here. If we go take a look at the copper futures, What we're going to see is that this is a double topping formation, and it is almost near prior highs from May of last year. So in 1 year, it's made this roundabout motion. Here we are. This is May 1. That's the beginning of May. And so we're near the top. So this should take a little bit of a breather. And the breather could come back into heavy congestion. And because we're trying to reindustrialize the nation and repatriate metals, over the long run, I suspect this is going to work, even in the face of economic slowdown, which is why I liked the FCX call, but I wanted to sort of sell some premium against it so that if it fades, I have a shot at being in the money in a nice space and doing pretty well if it moves into target. Okay, so next on the list, let's do snow because they asked for it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, let me make sure, because he asked earlier, I did it, and then he came back and said, did you ever cover this? I said, yeah, must have done it while you were away. DeAndre, let me know if you're there. We will absolutely take a look here at snow and see if we can't set something up here. So
we've got
go ahead.
A few groups of sellers coming in at that 156 area. That is a real resistance zone, that 155, 157 area in snow. That is something that I have been looking at for a long time, but take a look at this weekly chart, right? Here it is. This is the big candlestick from a weekly perspective. We made this the week of November the 18th. We've come back. This is the 50% range of the candlestick. And since then, we've been trying to bounce. Now, is this a nice clean bounce on the horizon? I'm going to say no. And here's why. I have a downward moving 5, downward momentum, and the social sentiment in terms of news covering this area has been very light. At the end of the day, it should bounce into the close of this candlestick at 167. So if we say, all right, what if we give this a little bit of time? Because we're looking at weekly charts. Let's say, it gets a little grindy and it takes 4 weeks to actually test that edge. It might be 1 week, but it's more likely to be something that pulls back, moves up, pulls back, moves up in that space because the market is so unsettled. This is the 50. We're just above it. It's flat. And so if you are really thinking to yourself, okay, how can I move into this position? In my mind, it would be give yourself a little time. So you'd want to go to April at least. And then you might choose the 155. Wait, I forgot what that number was at the top there. 167. Great. So you choose the 155, 165. If you do a back ratio, it's a debit of only 58 cents, but they'll charge you a margin debit to do that. So if you go to 175, it's $2 for upside pressure, and that's your total risk. So it's essentially $8 less commissions. That is the likely profit, and it's not moving very far away. Now, you could say to yourself, well, what if I only expect it to get to 165? You could buy the 165 outright. You could buy a 165, 170 put spread. I mean, that's 1-to-1, but I don't love that either. It's better to go all the way out and see how that 165 holds, or you can choose the 165, 175, 185 strike, and it'll cost you, 60% less, maybe something like that. So that's what I'm looking at for snow. If you want to go straight out calls, like something Tim might say, hey, listen, if you believe snow is going to do something, he might choose something way out in the distance. But if you want to give yourself some time, you can roll this April really out into June, and it's only going to be 95 cents. So here's the difference. The further out you roll your butterfly, the less sensitive it becomes to small price action. So let's say you bought this here today, and in 3 days or 5 days, this moved all the way to 165. This butterfly might only be worth $1.27, which, listen, 27% is nothing to sneeze at.
No.
I'll ring the register on that all day long. But if you're looking to swing for the fences, it's almost better to go way out in the future and make that spread really wide and let it pay off for itself over time.
Okay. Great. Thank you for covering that. That is awesome.
You're most welcome. All right, let's go to the next one. Let's go to Amazon. We think that Amazon is going to hold, right? Eventually. Now, how many of its products get sourced from China that end up on the site? I don't know. How tariffs might affect other parts of whatever it is that goes on with Amazon, I don't know. But we do know their cloud business continues to accelerate. There are a lot of things that they do that have higher margins than their retail business, right?
Absolutely. I mean, web services, you said it. The Amazon Web Services, probably one of the biggest drivers of that, not affected by tariffs, huge margins.
Exactly. And they also have Amazon Clinical, Amazon Construction. Not that construction is going to be any big thing, but they have all kinds of different pockets where they might hold on pretty well together. So my thought is dips that come into this area of heavy inventory accumulation. Look at it. It's what have we got? I think it might have been my browser, Ryan, because
I was going to say this loaded both of these there. I know we looked at a little spinning wheel, but it was what, 5-6 seconds?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
You know what that tells me? That tells me that my tech guy might have been onto something when he said, ask Anne-Marie to clear her cookies in her browser. That might be the secret, but we'll deal with that another time. I think I think we figured it out.
Yeah. So here is this big wide range. Now, I don't want to buy a put at 165 for Amazon, but it could get here. Notice, right when it got out, here was the accumulation phase. The distribution came at a discount, and then the traders reaccumulated in the box and then attempted a breakout formation, right? And that's what they did. So my thought is, at the very least, this thing should come back into 167.
Okay.
So the question is, how do you want to do that with either a bullish mindset or a bearish one? So, because you can do both. So let's look at the bullish one. And this would be sort of an homage to Tim. We'll do a leap. It's 1 year away. Let's say the price action holds 160, and then it returns to 190. Okay? But it doesn't get quite above 200 in the next year, simply because it's got a lot of drag on it. Okay, so that's $35. So $3,500 in a spread. And then if we go 35 again, what is that? 215,
Yep.
right? It costs about $1,000. And what we have, as long as it does not breach 200, this will be better than break even. And you can hold it for an entire year. And it's just $1,000. If it does perfectly and it fades into that 165-ish area and expires there, it'll still be break even if you waited all the way until March. But if this falls into play and moves into the 165 area, this is going to get very profitable. It's the weird thing with the butterflies. Once you breach that middle strike, it starts to wane on you. And so if it falls inside the middle strike and above, between 155 and 180, it's going to run higher. And it's a little bit bullish. If you said, Anne-Marie, show me something more bullish, but cheaper than that, potentially, I would say, let's take a look at the 165. And let's do 215. And that's $40, right? Or is that 50? That's $50. 215, so 265, top of the range. No, a little bit more expensive, but it's going to have to go a lot further to the north to hold its pressure. And for me, it is my thought that we are slipping into a very, very sideways market that's going to last probably most of the year. So we're going to make real money at the bottoms of the ranges when we go long and the top of the ranges when we go short.
Okay,
and so
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so that is my thought. If you're looking on the bearish side of this, and you can see clearly, listen, this is a do or die bounce for the month of March. If we lose that zone, the next heavy congestion area is 175. So let's take a look and say, listen, this is going to be the highest region of not knowing what's going to happen. By April, more things are going to get washed out. So we'll probably stay in that zone until that area. We can see traders positioning at 180 on the floor there. So let's do 180 and let's choose 170 to 160. That gives us a 69-cent option. So $68, $69 with $1,000 of upside. And so less are what we paid. So if you're thinking, all right, there are a lot of things uncertain, and the more uncertain they get, the easier it is for the market to fall down. And so this next 30 to 60 days are going to be the most uncertain. So you position your short in that space.
Okay. Makes a lot of sense. Really quick question. What browser did you switch to? Because
Edge.
Okay. So that actually makes me wonder. That's good to know. If we have problems here, I might try the same thing. And if I get the same results.
And I had just cleared all my cookies the other day because I couldn't get into my Merrill Lynch account. I was like, what is happening? It just kept putting me in a spinning circle.
I think we figured it out. I think I'm going to run this by the tech guys here, but I think we figured it out. Okay. Really good stuff.
Awesome. All right. Last one. We got time for one more, I think.
Yes.
Let's take a look at Boyle. Now, you know, this has been my sweetheart for a time. Prices tend to come in the spring, and it's because we don't use energy in the spring because we open up the windows,
Right.
right? So this has a lull. On top of that, it is a leveraged ETF. I can't remember if it's double or triple. It's
Triple.
some kind of crazy. And so look at this. I don't know if it's because of a repricing event or whatever, but the low in December of 2022, $1,730. Yeah, a little bit bananas. So what I'm expecting this chart to do is come in and test frontline support and break to the north again. Look, we made a rounded bottom. It took, wow, about a year. Let me see.
And I misspoke here, Anne Marie. This is a double.
Okay.
This is a double levered ETF, not triple.
No problem. All right. So see, you could have kept me in the dark, and I would never have known.
That would not be polite of me.
Listen, I almost showed up in a bathrobe. We're all good. I tried to pull a Hugh Hefner today.
You know what, though, Anne Marie, I tried to pull a Hugh Hefner. Okay, here's what I will say: if you ever do that, I might do. I see a little preview picture of here before I add you on. I might be like, "Hey, Anne Marie, check the robe there. Is that Gucci?" I mean, we'd have gotten around it. We wouldn't have put you out there anyway.
Oh my goodness.
Funny
All
story. Right. One day I was running late for school. I ran out the door with no pants on.
See,
I was just trucking, and
that's
I got like
because
2 houses
our
down,
minds,
and I was like,
we've got things to think about. You know, I can understand the person that does that sort of thing. So.
Me too.
All right, so here we have this rounded bottom, and if we take a look at something like this and we say, you know, maybe this might be a cup and handle before summertime breaks in, all the nat gas stuff goes crazy, and then we've got something else going on. Okay, so I easily suspect a retest of 120. So the question is, how do you trade this since the options are so expensive? So I do covered calls at the money, right? And so I'll buy the stock outright, and I'll go 2 months forward, and I'll sell the covered calls. And it's because the premium has been bananas. I also sell the puts. So a couple of things that you can do. If you say to yourself, you know, this might be pretty good, right? You could go into May when things start to heat up a little bit, and you can say, you know what? Let's see where everybody's sitting. Oh my word, look at that. That spread is more than $2 wide.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's double the bid. It's more than double.
Bananas. Okay. So the average price is about $61 right now. So you could sell those, but it doesn't look very good. Here's the beautiful thing about this. If you put these orders in at the mark, they will force them to fill. I've never had one not fill at the mark or better.
Interesting.
So here we are in May, and we're looking at this 80 event, very thin, but again, they will fill. So somebody's doing something here to force price action through. So if you look at the 80 to the 90, to the 100, $2, so $200, $1,000 upside. If you are so inclined, you can also sell a put spread that is right at the floor near, you can say 70 to 65, and those, I mean, that's more than half of the spread. It's very, the options in here are so, the implied volatility is so high that trading inside of here is just absolutely fantastic if you're selling the option. So you can sell a put spread. You can also sell, you can turn it into an iron condor. Where did I go? May. And since things won't be getting too crazy, you might go up here and say, you know what? I'm going to sell the 105 110s. You get almost half of the entire spread.
Wow.
And so here's a way you can look at it. So the big thing is, Anne-Marie, you know what it means when an option has high implied volatility. The prices could swing all over the place. What do? You look to take 20 to 30% of the spread and you get out of Dodge.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you can scale out, better still, probably. If you're taking multiple of these, that's good.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. Anne-Marie, we did it, and we found out a solution to the issue that was plaguing us. That's really exciting.
Indeed.
Do me a favor, have a great rest of your Friday. And if you did brackets, hopefully your brackets are still intact.
You know what? I used to try that, and I discovered that I suck so bad at it. I'm usually out by the first game.
Yeah, you know what's crazy, though, is it seems that, especially with the brackets, is that the people that watch no college basketball and don't know about it seem to do the best, which is just one of those things that makes it fun for everybody. But nonetheless, Anne-Marie, have a great rest of your weekend, okay? We'll check in with you on Tuesday. Smash the like for Anne-Marie on the way out. That is awesome. Take care, Anne-Marie. All right, now, Anne-Marie's departure leaves room for Sandra. Let's go ahead and bring her on. Sandra, how you doing today? Happy Friday.
Thanks, Ryan. Happy Friday. I love the comment about, coming out in the road. So
Oh,
let's all
man.
do that one day.
You know what? If we actually did that, a coordinated effort to do that, I think that'd be something else. And I'm in for it. I've got one. I'm in for it. As long as you can take chest hair, you're probably going to be okay. All right. Enough of that. Sandra, what do you got on deck for us here today?
We're going to talk about Airbnb, Tesla, and Apple.
Awesome. Options made simple with Sandy starts right now.
Welcome back, traders. This is Sandra with Trading Made Simple. I'm here to show you short-term proven strategies. People think trading is a one-size-fits-all market. It's not. We live trade and train daily. Let's talk trading.
All right, let's get myself up and going here. All right, now taking a look at SPY. Wow. So SPY not having a very good day. We had a little bit of a bounce, but really didn't follow through here. So looks like SPY right now just kind of hanging around that 56.25. It really looks like anything over 56.18 is a little positive here, but it really needs to break this 15-minute pivot low, which is at 56.32, for even an opportunity to come do this gap fill, right? You can see that this little shaded area right here, by the way, is a gap finder, I call it. Just helps me identify where the gap is so that you can actually see if you're going to be en route to make a gap fill. Sometimes gap plays are kind of exciting when the market has some volume, right? Kind of seems a bit flat today. So as we look at this gap fill, you can see that we maybe made like a 20% gap fill on this. And so looking to see, can we break and hold above that 56.32 area? Even better would be to get above that 20 EMA so that we could come and test the resistance area of the gap. And then, of course, right, then we'll be waiting to see, is this going to be a gap and go or kind of a gap and a U-turn and come right back down? So right now, down about 36 points on SPX. You could see the momentum on a 15-minute. It's rising. Really would like to see it break that zero line to get some momentum here. See if we actually get to challenge that gap. And then what do we have for resistance? 5650 as well as support at 5600 for the SPX. All right, let's take a look at the Qs. The Qs on a 15-minute, kind of toying with that last pivot low on a 15-minute. This red dotted line is representation of that last pivot low. I do like to identify my pivots, and then also the last pivot high, right? So if we can actually get into that area, we'll be back into a range where we could possibly come and test that. But we have a lot of power lines above us. We still have the gap from this morning. We got the 20 EMA that's going to act as resistance. We got this vertical trend line. I call this a lot of power lines, right? A lot of power lines overhead to kind of keep price down on the Qs. Qs down 3.5%, or excuse me, $3.50 today. Not looking really good. And then let's take a look at DIA. DIA also down $2.4. Everybody tried to make its gap fill this morning, but couldn't do it. And it looks like we might get an opportunity later this afternoon, but we'll have to just keep a check on it. Everything kind of looks the same, doesn't it? IWM down $2.12. Actually hitting resistance here at that trend line, preventing it, right? Preventing it. This channel, you can see this white dotted trend line. This channel kind of holding down. We made a little bit of a gap fill, but not very much. And then now it's kind of just sitting there, kind of vacillating. We really need some momentum to enter the market. We just don't have any oomph. I call it juice, right? We just need some juice in the market. See if we can get a trend change here. On a daily, if we take a look at some of this on a daily, you can really see this looks really weak. We're underneath the 20 EMA. That I love using the 20 as my reversion to the mean. You can see that, for the last 3 weeks on IWM, we've broken through our weekly expected move. That is that red, white, and green line. And each week we break below it. We go down to the next level the next following week, and that's exactly what we did. But this week, you could actually see on IWM that we kind of recovered. We hit the low last week. We popped up this week to do what? To go smack right into our 20 EMA. And what are we doing now? We're failing, right? So we kind of failed resistance. We keep failing resistance. So we need to pop above that resistance level to actually see some momentum come back into this market, I believe. So as we take a look at this, let me see if I can get this off the screen. Sorry about that. And we're back. So now that we have that going on, let's take a look at some big names. Actually, what I like to do is just real quick, because I like to take a little snapshot of this in the morning, kind of see where we're at. You could see that we're looking awfully bearish, aren't we? NVIDIA, Microsoft, the banks, Apple, Google, Amazon. Costco actually looking pretty good here. Some of the real estate, just a couple, not a very many. Communication services, Google's a huge part of that. Not doing very good, but do have a couple names looking like it's getting a little bit better, but really just a really red day in the markets. And then let's get back to our charts and take a look at some of the bigger stocks. I actually was looking at Meta looking really nice on a daily, holding consolidation, really trying to get some momentum, but not being able to. But as far as like the other stocks that are concerned, this has some relative strength. But without all of those other stocks, I just don't think this is going to do much. We see that next week we have a high of 612. We have a low expected move of 570. Momentum still looking weak. Not too good here. Google also consolidating all week. Momentum still very weak. Wanted to see NVIDIA. NVIDIA kind of did this death cross, right? So now we're looking to see if it's going to be trending much lower. Came up and hit resistance and came right back down. Really need to see some follow through. But on a daily, I have to say that this was looking relatively so much stronger than a lot of other stocks. And you could see where momentum actually crossed above the zero line. So I remember that last week, I believe we did an automation for NVIDIA passing through a certain point and that got triggered, but didn't go very far. And you can see as we look at consolidation, that just kind of doesn't, for your directional plays, really just actually does absolutely nothing for directional plays as we just consolidate and go sideways, really waiting for a major move either to the upside or downside. NVIDIA was looking a lot stronger than all the other stocks. You could see that we've actually toyed with that 20 EMA on the daily. Gosh, compared to the other stocks, really looking good. Let's take a look at Apple. Apple with a sharp downturn and then all of a sudden consolidation. Can't seem to break above that daily pivot low. We need to get back into there for us to do a trend change to possibly come and test that 260, which was once the last pivot high. But look at momentum starting to point downwards, right? You could see the expected move for next week. The market makers have not very much movement. You could see that it almost is parallel. It's kind of a parallel of what's happening this week, right? So you could see the expected move not really changed from this week's expected move. So we'll have to see if there's more consolidation. What are we looking for? We're actually looking for a breakdown of this weekly expected move of 207 or a break above. And I would really like to see a break above 233.75 with some momentum going to the positive side. Without momentum, we're not going to have the price because momentum drives price. So when you think of it that way, like, what is making price move? It's momentum. So we really need that juice in the market and we need some money coming into the market for some of these stocks for it to change. Let's take a look at Tesla because that was another one I was taking a look at. Tesla. Also consolidating. The momentum is rising actually on Tesla. We actually have a positive day for the last 3 days on Tesla. So that looks like a repair job trying to start. We really don't have that much farther to go. 269, actually, that is a lot farther on a daily, right? Let's take a look at this on an hourly. On an hourly, trying to get above today's high, right? That's pretty important. So today's high is 243.93. Could set an automated order for that. And it's, relatively on a 1 hour, it's staying above that 20 right now. Momentum shifting down, but maybe if we can just get some consolidation here and really not break down too far, we can actually see this maybe take another shot at trying to get to 253. It's got a long way to go, but Tesla finally having a pretty decent day. And you can see Tesla just really not doing anything. Lots of consolidation. We're just waiting for something to happen here in the marketplace. A lot of small positive moves. Really needs to break this area of 265, which is kind of a long way to go. You can see the weekly expected move for next week also kind of mirroring this week. So the market makers are expecting a lot of consolidation. That's what that can kind of give you a bit of a forecast. Now, if we can see price break above this 20 at 264, and then also momentum break above the zero line, we can get some traction because I can see that trend pivot line right here at 268 hovering nicely, giving a lot of confluence with that 20 EMA on a daily. Let me take a look at this on a 15. Just kind of consolidating. You can see these yellow bands. These are bands of consolidation. And, our platform is just identifying that price range that it's staying in, not only on a 15, but also on a 5-minute. So really we need a break. If you were looking at Tesla for a day trade, right? Looking for us to break above that, let's call it 244. And then also a breakdown below, let's call it 237 for a move either to the high end or to the low end. And you can see on a 5-minute right now, we just broke below the 0 line. And if we break below that 100 line, we can get some momentum to come and retest this little area of consolidation at 237. Looks interesting right now for a short for today. But again, not a lot of momentum. VIX still at 24.43. Anything over 20, right, is really about fear in the market. So it's been a lot higher. It's kind of stabilizing at 20, but we really don't have big money coming in or stepping into the market to do anything just as of yet. So as you can see, our tick value right now still selling off a bit here, and looking to see what ends up happening here for Tesla. I've been looking at Tesla for quite a while and not too happy. And then let's take a look. Did we already check out Apple? I don't think we checked out Apple on a smaller time frame. Look at Apple starting to look a bit bearish here. Let's take a look at that daily. Yeah, also looking like the market is expecting more consolidation. Whenever you take a look, by the way, of your weekly expected moves, by the way, if you email me at sandra@tradingmadesimple.org, I'll send you this link for this weekly expected move indicator. Really nice to just have it on your chart so you don't have to keep going back to your trade tab. If you don't have this and you want to know what the weekly expected move is, so simple to just go to your chart and then take a look at the expiration dates, and then you can identify what the expected move is for those dates as well as the volatility. This can really help you kind of get your expectations in check. But I just love the visual of saying, oh, you know what? The market is really looking for more consolidation. So the high of next week, really around that 218 level, the low at 206. This is pointing down. This could just go again sideways. Apparently, that's what the market is looking at. As I take a look, I was going to take a look at, got a daily little watch list here. Let's see if I have that up. I don't. But I was looking at, oh yeah, ABNB. Let's take a look at that really quick. Yeah, this looked interesting to me because it consolidated on the higher end here. We actually popped up and consolidated. We didn't break below that point of control of the weekly high and low. And so that actually got me taking a look at this, thinking we could pop up here to the 130 level. But, you know, the momentum's still looking a little bearish here. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening next week. Let's take a look at SPY. Wanting to see, gosh, SPY just really looking weak here, breaking below, right? Its point of control for the weekly move. And this also looking like consolidation for next week, but we could go back down and retest the 549 area. You could also see, I mean, talk about the confluence of the consolidation bands right there. I actually like this, but I would like it if it came and tested maybe this afternoon. Oftentimes we're seeing, you know, the markets kind of sell off in the morning. And then in the afternoon, we get this little pump of people basically just taking their profits off their puts. I'd really like to see a bounce back up to the 262 level to re-short this for next week. So let's go ahead and do an automated order for SPY to do that. Let's take a look at our trade tab. And then let's take a look at how about March 25th. We'll give this some time to play out. And let's make this a debit spread. Okay, so we could be a little cheaper here, because during consolidation and during when, you know, the market is volatile, anytime that the VIX is at 20 or above, you want to take into consideration that, you know, either we're going to be in a consolidation zone, so we're not going to have a lot of direction, or all of a sudden we'll turn, you know, very volatile. And with that, we get a lot of spikes. So you could take advantage of those directional spikes if you program your orders and make sure you have your take profit as well as your risk, right? So here, looking at 262 as basically the at the money, because I'm wanting price to bump up a little bit today before we get into this. And that could also mean that this could be on Monday if we do a good till cancel order. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So I really want this to bump up to 262 before we get into a short. That's why I'm on the put side of the trade tab. And as you can see, it's going to cost us about $54 to get into this. So what am I doing? I'm just reshorting the market. I'm identifying kind of a point of control for this week's level. And I'm saying if we go and test that level again, I want to reshort. So when we come over here, oh, you know what? I just saw your question. Let me get back over to the chart here so I can show you this. So basically, this is modeled. This indicator is called the wave indicator. Basically, Trading Made Simple creates indicators as well. I love indicators. This one is modeled after the CCI. So if you pull up the CCI, this will give you a wave oscillator just like this and show you where momentum is. And this is a momentum oscillator. There's many of them under the studies tab right over here for Thinkorswim. So this one is called the wave, and it's just a nice visual to identify when momentum is below that zero line and if we are bullish or bearish. Now, clearly we have kind of, an indicator, a labeling system that lets us know if the market is choppy, really just indicating that momentum is between the 100 levels. Okay, so you could actually see that on the CCI and identify that as well. And then also a bull wave, just this actually is not this is not correct right here. So I'm gonna have to take a look at this indicator. I could have my old version up. So, and also gives me a ranking for IBR. So this is what the wave actually does, is just kind of help us identify if momentum is there or not. And really you can use the CCI, which is a free indicator, to give you that same reference. So thank you for the question, by the way. Going back over to our debit spread, as we take a look at the debit spread, we're actually looking at, now right now it's priced at about $53, but when we actually hit the 562 to reshore, it could be a little higher. So you have to take that into consideration as you're thinking about your risk parameters and how much you're spending on your contracts. A good little gauge is 1 to 3% of your portfolio value. That's like industry standard, right? No secret sauce. This is like what the industry basically identifies as being conservative. 1 to 3% of your portfolio value you're going to be utilizing to buy contracts. So when you start to estimate what this is going to be, you can do that. Another way you can do that is actually adjust pricing. We know that price needs to go up before we get short, right? So what I can do as an example is I could start raising the price on Thinkorswim. And as I do that, I want you to come take a look at this. As I'm raising the price, the platform is telling me, it's estimating what the price of the stock will be when the option price gets here. Now we wanted to go to 562 and I'm going the wrong way. So let me go down and see if I can hit 562. Oh, and it's taking a while. Hold on here. Hold on. Let me get. All right. So we're getting close. And you can see that the platform is telling us that at around 562, 563, the contract price is actually going to be about $44. Now, what I typically do is just kind of estimate like whatever it's showing me at the time, especially if I'm doing a short, I'm just taking that price and then utilizing that for my portfolio value. And then using that. So you could see the difference from 44 to 54. It's not that much. It's $10 difference, right? So there shouldn't be that big of a change when you're estimating your portfolio value to determine how many contracts should I buy in this case, okay? So with that being said, let's go ahead and start programming. So here you're gonna see that our order rules come up, and I always like to start with the conditions first, because you're basically programming this and saying, hey, when this happens, then I want you to do something. And what are we saying? Hey, we're gonna come over here and just start clicking. You could see that as soon as I click underneath this bar, SPY pops up automatically by default. Now, if I hit method, mark pops up, and I want to keep it as mark, even though there's a drop down, okay? Trigger, the first one is less than or equal to, and the second one is greater than or equal to. And if you have a problem with that, trust me, I did too. You just have to go over here and you can actually read your programming. So here we have a less than or equal, but we want SPY to go up, right? Because we're going to be reshorting SPY. That's our game plan. So we want it to be greater than or equal to, and we said 562, because that was this week's kind of point of control, right? For its high and low. And so we wanted to come test it again. And we're going to say, okay, and you can read this right here, guys. It says security is greater or equal to 562. What do I want you to do? I want you to buy me, right, this put. And so that's how we're going to basically do this. Now, do we know what the option price is? No, we do not. But I showed you how you can estimate, right? But instead of estimating and not getting your automation triggered, instead, we're going to change this to just buy the ask. If we buy the ask, we're being aggressive buyers to get into this position. If we sell the bid, we're being aggressive sellers to get out of a position. So with the debit spread, I've noticed with Schwab, very different than TDA back in the day. I used to always do my automations for not only a take profit, but also a stop loss. But I noticed that each and every morning that you have a debit spread on, the stop loss gets hit, even if you're in the money and you have a profit in your position. As soon as I saw that, as well as a couple of our members saying the same thing, we have to make adjustments for this. The nice thing about debit spreads is it gives you diamond hands. What that means is even if this consolidates or even goes up a little bit, it's not going to seem as drastic as if you had bought a long put, okay? So that's why debit spreads are so nice to have. Especially if you don't want to sit in front of your computer all day. You could just check this once a day, make sure you're not at a 50% stop loss as an example. If you end up making 50% profit, you could just sell your position. It's an easy way to basically manage this debit spread, okay? So now that we have 562, we're buying the ask. We're going to put this good till cancel. And you can see I'm either using too much energy on this live stream. It's not letting me. The good thing is that all of this stuff right here, you can actually do right here. So you work, as you can see, you could do the ask here. And what we're going to do is just say good till cancel. I'm going to get a couple of these. I can see I'm using too much energy on here. I'm going to just get a couple of these, and then I'm going to submit it. And now it's waiting in your working file in the monitor tab, and it's waiting for SPY to hit 562 before we go in here and reshort. And basically, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for us to come and test, right? What was today's high? 561.81. And you could see 562.93 was this week's point of control for our weekly expected move. Can you use that middle line? That's why they drew that line on that indicator, is just to show you where point of control is for the weekly expected move, right? It's a simple way to say, hey, if you're above it, you're bullish. If you're below it, you're bearish for the week. It's a very easy way to kind of monitor. This is really looking very bearish. If this doesn't fill today, no problem. We have this on until Tuesday. However, by Monday, if this doesn't fill and we just keep going down and down, no worries, right? it'll just, you could just go ahead and cancel the order. You don't have to leave it on, especially if you don't want to have to check it every day. Unfortunately, because of that switchover from Schwab to from TDA to Schwab, they have made adjustments on their automations. I love Thinkorswim because of the automation platform. It's great to be able to use your own platform to automate your trades. As a matter of fact, I created a masterclass for this, and it's been a success. And if you want to learn more about it, you could go to tradingmadesimple.org/autopilot. Well, guys, I hope you have a great weekend. We'll see how this trade turns out. Let me know about your automations. If you have any questions, you could reach me at tradingmadesimple.org, and we'll see you next Friday.